Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Sunday stream. Today, as you can see, we've got Dimitri with us. He's going to show us around his Notion space. For those of you just joining in the stream, make sure you let us know in chat where you're coming in from, what time it is, maybe. If you are watching on the replay, make sure you have a look at the timestamps in the description below. I'll make sure I get those done at the end of the video, so you can go to any points that you see may be slightly more interesting than just us babbling on about different things. I'm sure we'll cover a few different things. So if any of you have any questions, there is a form in the description, so you can click on that and go straight into some longer form questions. I will be trying to keep up with chat as much as possible. I think that's it. So, Dimitri, do you want to give a quick intro of who you are, what you do?
Yeah, what's up, guys? My name is Dimitri Panici. I have a productivity self-development channel on YouTube. The channel is just my name. I've actually had Danny on my channel before. I do a podcast called the Rise Productive Podcast. I think about like 4 or 5 weeks ago you were on it. Really was well received. People like Notion apparently, and they like Danny, so I can see why you watch him. He has gotten shorter hair as I've gotten longer hair since that podcast, but yeah, I noticed the
haircut was like 2 days ago, so
solid. Yeah, so I've been using Notion for like, I want to say since September-ish or August-ish of last year, so almost a year. That's actually kind of crazy.
Yeah. Anniversary almost.
Oh, it's close to my heart. I'm not even kidding. I mean, I know all you guys are here because of Notion, and I don't want to nerd on about it, but it's kind of nice. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Hey, Roxanne, good to see you. Right. So, do you want to dive straight into your space, or do you want to?
Yeah, we can do that. So, my space is mainly comprised of a lot of calendar databases. Some other. I feel like I don't use gallery ever. I don't know about you, but I'm not a gallery person on Notion.
I did use it, and then because of the amount of roll-ups and relations and formulas I had, it was kind of like asking a lot of Notion. So I slowly removed it.
Yeah, so I have the Trello style for some board view for a couple, but my main thing is this. I have something called a daily planner, which is really important to me. I know a lot of you guys have things going on throughout your days, and I'm sure using Notion, you've used a lot of the things that Danny has taught you, and he does great at that. Honestly, I watch his channel sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, so I didn't know you could do that at all. Thanks, because I don't know, like there was a very fun one you had of like I don't know what the word was for it, but like your planner, it had a pretty good looking layout of bullets that you could put for your daily planner sort of thing. It had tasks or not tasks, sorry, habit tracking on the bottom. That was like 2 days ago. It was pink. Yeah, it was pretty.
Yeah, that's the how to manage your time better, I believe, because someone asked me what the template name was, and I was like, it's the same as the video.
See, that's yeah. Danny's a smart guy. Just assume he did the smart thing naming wise, please. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, that's really cool. So I'm gonna just dive right in to my stuff.
Thank you, Stephen. Did you see that, Dimitri?
Wizard.
Stephen's put in chat, in a former life I was a wizard.
You're a wizard, Danny. Sorry. I had to make a Harry Potter reference. Sorry. I had to do it. All right. So as you can see, this is the center of my universe, blah, 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 blah. I don't know why I typed these little blurbs at the beginning of all of my things, just in case I showed anyone if I made a YouTube channel, which ended up happening. So my daily planner is, I run and stuff, so I like this picture. And my daily planner is essentially a centralized place for a bunch of external databases that I have, mostly calendars, like I said, and they then turn into lists. I did not do some things today, so I'm just going to casually tick those off as if I did. But that's an example. I'm a little behind on planning right now, so I'll scroll back for some things. But essentially, what happens is, as you can see, it shows what I have for the day, what I've done regarding working is done the second I take it off. But if I go in here, it shows all of my tasks and events, which, as you can see, is usually how things are. My planning is mildly behind, as I said, but it's really good, I think, to have a place where you can have your calendar, and then you can take that and populate it into a very easy to see place that you can just only open that on the day. I think planning is important, but spending time in calendar mode really should be when you're in planning mode, right? When you're trying to achieve tasks, in my personal opinion, you should be focused on what you're doing. And by then going back here, for, like I said, if I'm in this mode, I know what I need to do for the day. As you can see, I also have a training workout calendar that I actually recently just implemented about a week ago. So I'm really excited to show this off. I'm glad we did this because we're planning on having a stream last week, and I kind of dodged them because I had my mom's birthday was last week, and I was like, hey bud, I love my mom, so I'm gonna hang out with my mom, which is fair, I think.
We had Roxanne on last week instead, and she showed lots of gallery views. So
oh really? That's cool. See, you know what, Notion has, I think the great part about Notion is that you can have every single different type of person's Notion look different, and for them it makes it really good in their own way. Now, people who are trying to learn how to improve, I think it's really great what Danny's doing, because I learn stuff when I watch his videos. I think bouncing ideas back and forth off of each other is going to obviously make the Notion community be more productive, and that's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of this program, or this software. So I think that's fair. But like I said, right now, as you can see, I have this. If I had to add anything, I can show you real quick what happens. So I have a bunch of templates. I definitely want to do a plan week session, right?
Wow, that's a lot of templates.
Yeah. So I have.
Are they all for like emojis, or do they actually like input property information in?
One moment. So what they do is, like, we'll show is I have. Yes, they have stuff in here, like little steps things, just if I want to make videos on it, etc. So I have, what I usually do is the location is like the title, so I can just copy and paste it. I only have my mouse on me right now in my setup. My keyboard's over there, so I can't type. So just FYI. I put the time, usually, include time, whatever. But essentially, what happens here is it gives it the task group and the tags I want. That's kind of why it's like that, because it'd be really excessive for me, right? I'll show you real quick. My task groups include working out, school, work, which is like coupled into YouTube and stuff, housekeeping things, scheduling and reflection, and then social. So as I will show you again with all my templates, I got like different things for school events, work upkeep, just like a basic, like I got to get caught up on things, working on my blog, cold outreach, brainstorming, research. This is all going to give a different tag and a different task group. I have a lot of these. I like to do this because I do usually track my time with Toggle, and I use the same formats so I can, figure out how much time I'm spending on things. So that's kind of the way my mind works. I've recently gotten away from Toggle, which is kind of unfortunate. But at the same time, I personally think this. I don't know about you, but time tracking is great to a certain extent. So say you're working in school, or you have school and you're trying to figure out how can you balance working out, how can you balance sleep and doing a YouTube channel, right? That's kind of a lot to go on. What you can do is you can test your weeks with block scheduling, and track on Toggle. And then after about 5 weeks of a sample size, through a whole cycle of like the beginning of chapters through the end of like having exams and such, you find the average of how much time you need to spend on school, how much time you need to spend working, or you end up spending working out. And then you can adjust your block schedule, and then you don't really have to worry about making your block schedule different. After that, it's been excessive. So I've kind of cut out tracking my time because I know how many hours it's going to take, generally speaking.
Very quickly, just to clarify, Toggle is not like the Toggle feature in Notion. You're talking about the Toggle app.
Like Toggl. Toggl. It is a time tracking app that works really well with Google Calendar on your phone. And you can make things like, or it has like project and tags. So essentially a task group is like project, it would be like these categories. And then I can track my time in that way. So, excuse me. I really do go into all of these and have it for that reason. But also it's just much easier to, for my purposes, go and do what I just did with my plan week and just add a time. And then when I go back to my daily planner, it shows up, so it's much easier in that regard.
Sort of going on what you were saying earlier, like about different spaces and how you can literally do what you want. For me, when I'm tagging things, I use the relation to the area. So I have an areas database. I imagine you've seen it. So I don't have like that long list as a select. It's kind of like an areas list.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like the same sort of principle, but you've just got a select property instead of a relation property. So it's just like, it's the same thing, just very, very slightly different.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw what a template was on Notion, my mind was a little confused. I don't know if anyone else has had that moment when they first started on Notion. I'm sure with some part of it, you went, okay, but what does that mean though? Because it has so many options, and you're like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm just very overwhelmed when that started. So that's kind of what I do, right? I showed you my planned week. So if I had to give you an example of how my planning would go, so you get an idea of like, how does my workflow happen? So when I do my plan week on Sundays, basically I'll plan out probably a week, and then I have another one on Wednesdays, right? So that halfway through the weekend, I can adjust what I did just in case, because you guys know as well as anyone else that your life is crazy. And in about 2 or 3 days, your block schedule or whatever you have planning going on, like Danny and I, he asked me a couple days before last week whether we were going to still do this live stream. And I said, no, sorry. So I replanned, right? And then when I get halfway through the week, I try to get to here if I can, like the week and a half after. And then essentially it will be great, because not only will I do that, I used to do the routine calendar that I have, and I'll show you right now what my habit tracking is kind of like. I have a habit tracker that is a little excessive in my opinion. It was a lot of work to do this, but essentially I have things I want to do, right? I take a lot of supplements. So twice a day I try to take the supplements, because having it all at once just doesn't kind of go down the same way, apparently. I don't know. I'm not a scientist or something. Not a doctor. And I want to eat fruit every day if I can, and eat salad if I can every day. And obviously keep up on washing my face and brushing my teeth, and wearing my retainer so that I don't have to get braces again. So what happens here is I go back into my daily planner. Once again, as you can see, it's kind of a calendar, and then it turns into a pasted list, right? And I show only the properties that matter. I can tick it and it goes away. And that's really nice on my phone as well. This shows up really well on your phone, in my opinion, because you just kind of scroll, and it's not as wide as this, it's just got like, I literally formatted it to the point of it wouldn't cut anything off. Like the point of where it's like maximum space needed, it just won't cut anything off anymore.
Out of curiosity then, why don't you put the databases next to one another? Is that just preference?
Yeah, so the reason is this. I used to, and then I realized I was mainly using the daily planner on my phone, right? And, the way it's formatted, it will just scroll down anyway, because you can't put side by side on the phone, I don't think. I think it just kind of turns into, right? It just turns up, or am I wrong there?
Yeah, everything on the right will go underneath everything on the left.
Yeah, so I said, well, let's just keep it the exact same. Cool. Would it be nice? Kinda, I guess. But in the same token, like, I didn't really care about just doing this a little. So I guess,
if you don't use it on PC, then there's no need.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's definitely more, the planning happens a lot more on my PC. The calendar view is much better on PC. I'm sure you agree on that. So 100%. This format is great on my phone because I just see things very streamlined there. So like I said, very easy to tick things off. And then I will be done with it for the day. My goal is to complete 5 out of 7, each habit like 5 times a week. And I just told Danny this. I actually did a 1-month journaling challenge, which I'll post on my channel in about, I guess, next Sunday, if I think about it. Yes, next Sunday, because I finished the challenge this week. I was like, okay, I did a reflection sort of thing where I track my habits, I track my time. And I was like, journaling was better for me. I think, productivity is great. And I think self-development is great. But doing something just to do it ends up not helping. To a certain extent, habit tracking in one place like Notion could work for you. And I think it's great to probably have it. And for me, I thought it was that way for a while, but then my opinion changed on it. So I just kind of went away from it. And now I have it separately on the app Done on my phone. And I just have this bunched up, this with the supplements, and then wearing a retainer, because I do this every day. I don't even know I have it on there. It's just kind of a reminder, I guess.
So question for you: what was like the friction point between using like Notion and the new like Done app? Like, where was it? Was it the inputting the information, the adding the new habits? Like, what was the friction point for you using Notion with that?
The friction point was the way my reflection was set up more than anything. The way my reflection was set up, I can show you actually, because I have a template for it, obviously, because I'm excessive. Just kidding. No, that's kind of good to have. You know what? I can just give I don't want to give an example. Who knows? I might have some deep, dark secrets in there. I will go to my reflection. So it would be like, all right, my routine shows what I did in the past week, which it doesn't show because my routine is not, I didn't do anything. I didn't take anything off for a while. So this would populate with everything. I'd see how many out of 30 I would do. And then I'd go down here to the routine calendar and I'd put my thoughts and I'd say, okay, dude, you did 25 out of the 30 you told yourself you should do. Cool. I don't know. Like, I felt like I was just filling out information more than anything, not really reflecting. This is my toggle trash, or this is like links to my toggle, right? And then I'd open toggle, toggle and a toggle. Well,
there's an E though. There is an E differentiating between
you're
the two.
Right. You're right. I agree. Yeah, that's true. So then I'd go here and I'd look through, like, this is the goals I had for the hours. And then I realized, dude, if you have the goals for the hours, isn't that like what you're normally doing? If you keep hitting the number, why does it matter that you keep having to use this 45 minutes a week to like track your time? Like, oh my God, dude, you know, that's how long it's going to take. Like, you're not learning anything more from it. Just stop. And journaling helped me a lot more than anything. And then there was like this reflection Q&A. What was my favorite part, my least favorite part, et cetera, et cetera. And I found just journaling did all of this for me and much more. You know, even a couple nights a week now I'm doing it, and it's definitely better than this. So,
that's actually an interesting point. So for those of you that don't know, I did a Notion Crowdcast live stream with Matt Ragland. I'm not sure how you say his name. The bullet journal guy on YouTube. And we spoke about bullet journaling quite a lot, and he uses journaling all of the time. And he uses a combination of pen and paper and Notion to journal. Are you all Notion? Do you use pen and paper at all?
Actually, I couldn't show you the journal on here because I am only journaling on pen and paper. I am all Notion except for the journal. I think to a certain extent, this is my thought on this, and it's been a recent thought of mine. I'm trying to get more stoic, have less input from external forces for certain periods of time. So for me, I run a lot, and that's great and all. And when I'm not running with people, I have my own form of meditation because I don't run with my phone. You know, it's great. And I don't have input from anything else really besides my own brain, which I think is important for a lot of people. When I'm on my computer or on my phone, I think there's a certain level, even subconsciously, of getting the vibe of Notion, you know, even that, or I get a notification and I get distracted. Just having the pen and paper is going to like help me be more stoic if I especially don't have music, which music with lyrics would obviously not be being stoic because you're getting input from a feeling of song, etc. And so I think it's really important to separate a little bit if that's something you're striving for. Now, if you just want to do Notion, don't have a problem with it. But I definitely felt like it wasn't giving me the right kind of reflection for me. So it's kind of why I axed this overall, because it's just like, okay, you're answering questions every week. And this was the part that really mattered more than anything. And I felt like when I switched to the app Done for my habit tracking, the friction point was this. I'd have to wait till the end of the week to kind of see where I was at. I'd have to do the ticking off the boxes, then looking here, then like writing about it. And for me, all I really care about is whether I'm building the habit or not. And the whole app Done is literally just kind of show me how many out of 10 I'm doing as I press it. It like just fills up a bar throughout the week, right? So that's all I really care about. So I didn't really care about much else. So that's kind of why I got.
It's going to be a really like cheesy comment now, but have you seen the videos that I've done on exactly that? Like I think it's called Successful Day or something like that, where as you push the button, it gives you that progress across.
No, I haven't. So that's okay. Something that I'm gonna have to go back and look at. So see, Danny knows more about Notion than most people, and that's why it's good to know him.
There's a couple of things that spring to mind. So when it comes to like daily habit tracking, there's a few different ways to do it. But if you're journaling anyway, you're going to open up a page. If those habits are as properties of those pages, you can tick them off. And then at the bottom of that, because all of the properties are in the same page, you'll have a progress for that day. So as you go through, you can tick the habits off as you go through the day and then do your reflection, which is just in the page. So the page is only that stuff that you actually wanted, and the habits are tick boxes, and you've still got all the numbers calculated. And you don't have to show those if you don't want to. So you can sort of just hide them exactly like you've done there and just show the percentage at the end of the day if you wanted. And that progress bar could be shown in lots of different ways, colors, emojis, Frogs.
Frogs. I think definitely, maybe I have seen some progress stuff that you showed me personally when we were just like hanging out showing Notion to each other before the podcast last time. But I think if I had a way to show it for the week, that'd be great. Like in my reflection every week, if I had a way to do that, I'd probably be down for that.
In individual day progress or just the total week progress?
Total week progress. I don't know. See, that's the thing about it, right? It shows total week progress just as the app itself. I don't know how I'm wording it, but like, it would show total week progress just by me pressing it. If maybe I just made a page that would refresh every week, but I don't know how really I could do that, where every single week that page would kind of.
Are you talking Notion or are you talking Done?
I'm talking Notion, yeah, because Done just obviously automatically at the end of the week kind of refreshes the bar. It's a whole separate thing. And for me, the friction point also was, personally, I kind of think Notion's load time on phones has been garbage recently. It used to be really bad, and they've gotten better with it. But like, that's kind of a big deal. It's not great.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think Notion optimizes its. I obviously I don't work for Notion. I have nothing to do with Notion other than I use it a lot. But I think they prioritize like PC and Mac usage rather than iPad, phone. I imagine that's their choice, but the load time on phone could definitely be better. And then the user interface could definitely be improved. Whether they do, whether they don't, I don't know. That's obviously their choice. But with the amount of things that people want as well, like, can you add this? Can you add that? Like, they need to prioritize time. So for me, I use my PC all the time. So if I was to journal, I don't. And if I was to track habits, which I don't, I would do it on my PC anyway. So I'd have probably because I've got my tasks, I'd just have my journal next to my tasks and tick those off as I'm done, as they get done, and then do my journaling at the end of the day or whenever I was going to do them. That way, everything is still on my dashboard, which is I think you've seen my dashboard, but like everything is there, so I don't have to go to different places, different pages, because everything is on my space. It's right there, right in front of me. I think my most recent video, I can't remember what I titled it, what I do in a day or something like that, where I went through my process. Everything I need to do is on my dashboard, so I don't have to go anywhere. And that's exactly what I put like daily journal habits as properties. So it could be like a table bar scrolling across, and just click them as I go. And then click on the open page, open it up, and then I'd have it filtered for today. So the next day, the journal for today would appear, and because it's a new property in the database, because it's a new entry in the database, all the properties would be refreshed, the progress bar would be refreshed. And then to have a weekly progress, all you'd need is a weekly tracking database of some sort, where you can roll up, and then you'd have all the progress. And then if you wanted to do a weekly progress or individual progress, use a roll up, use a formula. Yeah. And then sort of like go off in whatever direction you want, making colors and adding properties and templates and the rest of it. But that's if you're on PC or if you're on Mac. If you're on phone, the load time, if you want to sort of get it like quick there and done, yeah.
Like, yeah, I totally think it's just probably, the way my reflection was, and the way that it's just like it felt better. I don't know how to word it any other way. Like if I tried to change something else, if I tried to change something, I could definitely just try to figure out a way to make a progress bar appear here, every day. I could, like, I definitely could, but I'm just I'm apprehensive to how it's going to look on the phone. I
could, but should. I could do it, but should I do it? That's one of those things. Hi, Anthony. Good to see you from VA. This is going to be my geography.
Is that Virginia or Virgin Island? No, it's the Virgin Island. I can't spell. Jesus. VA.
I'm from the UK. I don't know.
Yeah, VA might be Virginia. That's usually the acronym. The initials.
I'll go with you. I'll trust the American on that.
He could not be from the US though. That's just my American. That's my American bias. Assuming that you're from that. Wherever you're from, thank you. Hi, welcome.
Yes.
Doesn't matter where you're from. We're all cool. So what am I talking
so
about?
progress bar. You were saying,
Yeah, I was saying
where
like,
you'd
yeah,
see
if I
it.
had a progress bar on my phone, that'd be because my thing is I whip out my phone whenever I want to track a habit. Like I do it and then I just go whoop boop.
Done.
Yeah, done. And then I kind of did the reflection thing. But at this point, all I care about is building the habits, and the reflection part about whether if I built it or not. I don't need to reflect on it. Like, I mean, if I don't, okay, it didn't, Dimitri. I don't need to write about it. Like, I don't know why I thought that was the thing for a while. I was kind of like,
It
well,
works for some people, it doesn't for others. Like I say, I personally don't track my habits because I know what I'm doing and what I'm not doing. So I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago about like my tasks and my habits. Hayat, wow,
hi,
Hayat. I'm gonna go with that. Dimitri, how would you pronounce that?
Hyatt. Yep, Hyatt Khan.
Hayat. Yeah, cool. Good to see you. I wish I knew how to pronounce everyone's names, but yeah,
Yes,
that's
please. He's trying his best. I mean,
yes, with my accent as well. Yeah, so with my habits, I kind of have reminders as tasks, so recurring tasks in my task database as my habit tracker. So things like drink water in the morning, in the evening, they are recurring tasks in my task database. So if I don't do them, the task sits there and it's just annoying. You know what I mean? Like when you want like all your tasks done, and you can just see those things in there. You're just like, I want a clean slate. I want the inbox zero. If you're a second brain type person, like I want the inbox zero for my tasks, and having my habits as recurring tasks, I'm like, I need to do that thing. Otherwise, it's just going to sit there and it's just annoying.
yeah,
you know what I mean?
that also might be another. Actually, another reason I probably wanted to get rid of it was because I'm trying to reduce notifications on my phone. And I would always get these notifications about when I was supposed to do these routines. And I was like, man, I'm getting like 12, 15 notifications from Notion a day. Jesus. Like, I don't want it.
Do you actually set like a date reminder notification then?
Yep.
Well, yeah, but did you do it for like all your habits as well?
Yeah, so these are the habits. It would literally just pop up on my phone as well. Like, make sure to do this habit. And like, sure, was it nice for a while? But then overall, I was like, okay, Dimitri, hear me out. You know when you're supposed to do it. And then I was like, yes, could I just get rid of the notification? Sure. But then they got me to thinking like, well, then do I really need, I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying? Like it starts making you question whether the existence of it on Notion is needed. Because I think Notion definitely has become a productivity task thing for me. I don't think habit building in some regards is in the same slice of pie. I don't know what am I trying to do? It's not in the exact same tool belt as the self-improvement, task management. Like task management is definitely what Notion's about for me. Even with training, it might be a great thing to log with because most training app log things are on your phone. And I'm trying to reduce my screen time. I don't want to do the social aspect of things like Strava. I don't know if you're aware of that program.
Yep.
I have a private Strava because I literally don't follow anyone on it because I get really annoyed conceptually with the concept of scrolling on social media for hours. And I know if I had Strava the other way, I'm so into running, I'd just be like, oh, this guy ran pretty fast today. Oh, this is kind of cool. Nonstop. And I'm like, no, I can't. So I'm trying to like find a Notion way to do it, which is interesting.
So it's interesting. Hi, Devinder, good to see you. It's interesting. Like the Notion, because Notion's the all-in-one workspace, you can do loads with it. Like you've got the management side of things, so task management, project management. Then you have like the tracking side of things, and tracking, you could track literally anything from habits, watering plants, like anything that you'd need to track, like diet and anything like that. You can track, but like systematically, they are two different things. Because project management is like I've done it, I've not done it, planning, schedules, that sort of thing. Tracking is you need to do something and then you need to like go out of your way to track it rather than you're already there. Like, oh, this is a task, I'll do that task, and then you can go do it. Habits you kind of like already have in your head, like these are the things I need to do. And once you've done them, if it becomes a routine, because essentially that's what you want it to do. Like after 30 days and you're like, okay, I've drinked. Wow, bad English. I've
King's
drunk
English
water.
is failing you.
Yeah, I've drunk water, like enough water for the last 30 days. Do you still need that habit reminder, that habit notification there to help you do that? And that's where I think the the tracking thing can become a little bit like tedious, because if you know you're going to do it and you're sort of like, oh, I know I've done it, I now need to remember to tick it off. You sort of like added, Davis, good to see you.
Hi guys.
You sort of like added another task on top. So the task management, you have the task, you do the task, done. The habits, if you know you need to do the habit and you know you've done the habit, but you still need to tick it off, you sort of added on like a small task. I need to remember to tick that habit off so everything else works.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I never thought of it like that. Yeah.
So for me, that's why I took out. So I did track habits like year 7, year 8 months, like almost 2 years ago now. I did track habits. And then I found, because I was getting used to doing the habit, it was becoming a routine. The habit was fine. I built the habit routine, but now I had this like, oh, I need to do this thing. And I was like, I don't want to do this thing, but I still want that little reminder just in case I do forget to do the habit.
I'm with you. I'm with you here, because the issue for me and the friction was the fact that I had to like go into Notion and press the box, you know, like more than anything. That was my issue. And now using the Done app, I'd say if I do it, cool. If I don't, I don't. And the thing is, on Notion, I take things a little more seriously. Big serious guy on Notion. No, but like seriously, serious. No, but in all seriousness, on Notion, I'm taking what I'm doing relatively seriously. So I'm trying to like maybe get rid of things that don't matter as much on Notion. Maybe that's sort of a thing there with habit tracking, because the habits do matter. Don't get me wrong. But my point is, if me doing it is important, is the tracking part important? And I was like, nah, not really. I don't really care. Like, I'll start figuring out whether I'm doing it or not, and I'll have an external thing outside of Notion that's a little more lax on my part, and then I'll maybe be more cognizant of it, because I don't have the Notion stress that I put on myself. Notion stress, new vocabulary words that we're inventing here.
Well, I think it's one of those things with, obviously, like I said, with the habit tracking, anything that you're tracking or anything that you do, if there is an action, then it's something to remember. It's something to think about. And like I spoke about on the podcast, like the psychic bandwidth, the how much space you have in your head to remember to do the thing. Like if you've got all of your tasks in your head, you're spending all your time remembering the tasks rather than doing the habits, rather than doing everything else, creative thought and stuff. But
sorry, I'm just distracted. I'm looking at the chat. Sorry. Okay. You go.
Yeah, I did see it pop up. I was on a roll, Dimitri.
Cut him off. All right, keep going. The bandwidth. Come on.
Exactly. You filled up my bandwidth, and I was like, I've forgotten. But yeah, so with like, if you're remembering all your tasks, you don't have much like creative thought to go all over the place. And it was the same thing. I found that it was the same thing with habits. Is I've done the habit, I've remembered the habit, but now in my head I was like, I need to remember to tick off that habit. And that was then filling up that psychic bandwidth, which is why I didn't bother tracking. I don't bother tracking. Like even with the recurring tasks that I have now, I don't monitor, I don't track anything, because of the way I've set it up. The habit, if I do it, I'll just say last done, and then that's that. If the habit is still there, if I haven't done it, or if I just haven't ticked it off, then it will just stay there and carry over to the next day, because it's a recurring task anyway. But if I do the habit, if I do the habit, such a child. If I do the habit and I have to change that date to last done, and I see, oh, it hasn't been done for the last week, I'll be like, okay, I should probably like do that thing a little bit more. It's like a quick like kick to go, actually do that thing. Davis, I'm going to read what you said now. I see a question mark in there. Has anything gone up? I've got a question in the form, so I'll get to that in a sec. Is there a comprehensive import-export of Notion projects so you can manipulate data with code? It seems to be a little overwhelming to me, just like you are expressing. So when it comes to import-export of a Notion project, you can import stuff into Notion, whether that is like code, Evernote, OneNote, Excel spreadsheet, Word document. You can import stuff into, and depending on what file format you bring it in, whether it's a CSV, it will go into a database. If it's just normal Markdown or just normal like text form, then it will come in as text. The formatting tends to get muddled up a bit. When it comes to exporting information, Dimitri, pitch in if you want to say anything, by the way.
I haven't. So personally, my thing is I haven't used any of the import export functions because I never started another note-taking app. I never started using anything else before Notion to help my productivity. So personally, you're gonna have to take the reins on this, because I honestly I think Excel's great. I think you should use it. Actually, I guess I'll say this for databases, or not databases. We talked about this in the podcast, but for things that are really spreadsheet heavy, like things that are really
statistical analysis,
like use Excel. Like Notion's great, but like use Excel or Docs or Google Sheets.
So even though you say you haven't used another app and imported, neither have I. I started on Notion all the way through Notion. The only reason I know how to import and export things on Notion is because I like Notion and I like to play around and see what you can do. And then when it comes to exporting information, it's the same kind of thing. And when you export, you can export it as a PDF, which I haven't explored dramatically.
Yeah, me either. I've seen that though.
Yeah, I know you can, but essentially a lot of the exporting information, if you want to be really, really like meticulous about it, you'd need the enterprise plan really to make it worth your time. Otherwise, you're going to have to like export every single page. And if you've got loads of pages, which if you're using Notion, you probably have loads of pages, you'll have to export the page and then use subpages. So you'll be exporting however many pages at once, all together, and it just becomes a little bit of a mess. And I don't know whether that's deliberate from Notion, because it means like once you're in Notion, you kind of like have to stay there unless you really, really want to like leave. But yeah, and then when it comes to the code aspect of Notion, oh wow, someone that's normally in the stream that I should remember his name, Torin. There we go. I was like stalling while I remembered. Yeah, so Torin he's asked a couple of times what code, what sort of language Notion use. I believe it's JavaScript. I'm not sure. But when it comes to editing code or adding code on, if you're in the Reddit groups or Discord groups, you will have seen people adding things on or taking things out, like using Python, JavaScript and stuff. I don't know specifically how they do all of that because I don't code. I'm learning how to code, but I don't code. So when it comes to taking things out and adjusting things, best place to go would be into the Reddit forum, because you have people in there that use, like, they've created the Python unofficial API with Notion. I have no idea how it works. And for me, I don't test out all of the code additions and stuff, because if Notion changed something natively, then suddenly the whole thing's got to be redone. And it's just like, no, I'll stick with the native. I think that covers most of it. Is there import export of Notion? Little overwhelming to me, to be honest. With like, even though I know Notion, there are some things that I'm still like, wow, I need to really get my head around this. So if you've just started with Notion, you'll be overwhelmed. If you've been using Notion for over 2 years, like myself, you'll still be overwhelmed by some things. It's just learn what you need to learn about the app, and then don't expand out until you find a friction point where you need to learn something to move forwards. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, like we talked about with me getting rid of the habit tracking, I hadn't changed anything in my Notion outside of adding a YouTube video template tracker, or say like just having my YouTube videos and scripts and stuff in there. I hadn't given myself any reason to add pages or parts of my workflow that made sense, like having all those templates, because I had school to do. That was it. Right. I had school, I had social events, and I had some work stuff. And I was like, all right, well, now I got to figure out how to do YouTube on here. I got to figure out how to do blog posts on here, because that's where I want my project management to be. Now, like Danny just said, if you don't have a friction point, it doesn't need to be learned. You're kind of, you just found the official API. That's cool. I know that Notion's been working on an official API for a while.
I can't say anything.
You can't? No, okay.
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
There's lots of stuff I'm not allowed to say.
That's funny. Notion Pro, insider information, insider trading jokes. So yeah, no, definitely. If you don't have anything to learn, or you don't need to learn anything, I'm not saying don't go out of your way to learn things about Notion. I'm just saying, if you don't have a friction point, don't try to wrap your head around something that's nuts. Like, it's really not worth it. This daily planner concept I've had forever. The only friction point recently I've had, I guess, could you show the screen again for my working out?
Yeah.
The only friction point I've had recently was, I wanted to have my workouts in Notion, and I was like, Man, I don't know. It might take me a minute. Dude, it took me like 20 minutes. I was so stupid why I just waited for so long. Because all that really matters for me is like, how much do I plan on running? How much did I actually run? How much time did it take? What pace was it at? You know, like right here, I had a long run today. I was supposed to run like 12. I ended up running like 13 miles. Took me like 86 minutes. So it was like, then I just did a little formula for the pace. Strides are like quick sprints at the end of running. Do I need to do core or do I need to do lifting today? And it doesn't, you know, it's nice to have it now in Notion, you know, because then at the little bottom here, you know, I can put like, and maybe this would help me out. What the heck is going on?
You're in the database view, so it'll just keep going.
Ah, I see.
You have to do. You have to go into a page.
I'll go back. Yeah. That was.
Otherwise, it would just like keep going and going and going.
Exactly. So I have like this under it, which is just like a little pasted. What the heck? I can't remember the table. Sorry. Pasted table, right? This is going to.
That's a table view. You can tell because of the lines.
Right. This is like this week, which is like what I'm going to do for the rest of the week mileage wise. My goal is to hit like 60 miles. So I just do a little like planned mileage thing and we see. So we go last week since the week's over, which is kind of the only point where I need to really figure it out. I can do mental math for the middle of the week. I'm not that dumb. I didn't put the pace as you can see. I didn't put the workout minutes as you can not see the pace here. But you know, what's nice is I can like put little notes how it was.
Bit of reflection. It's funny actually you mentioned workouts. So I've been speaking to someone, a potential client, about strength and conditioning because that's my degree, master's degree, if you didn't know. And he was essentially he works with one-on-one clients, and there's so many different ways you could do this in Notion because obviously Notion's broad. And the easiest way literally to do it is just every day have a page, which is just a simple daily planner. You can just filter for today. And then inside that day, you could just have the workout. Like it really doesn't have to be overcomplicated. But you could do, so I've made a video on the strength template and you could make everything add up. So you've got like tonnage, RPE and the rest of it for your sessions and sets, reps, intensities and stuff. And that's all periodized and the rest of it and how it goes. But you could quite simply just have a page with just a couple of exercises in.
Yeah, totally. And that's kind of what I could do here, right? So as you can see, I got pages essentially is what this, I mean, Notion just a bunch of pages, right? And I have it in the calendar. And like I had a workout, that was the plan, was to do mile repeats. I haven't like fully done the reflection here yet, which is kind of unfortunate because I could show like what the splits are, but I have, you know, some of the stuff written down in another, where I used to basically use my reflection and my tracking for my running, which eventually I'm gonna, you know, I'll sync up my Garmin watch to Garmin Connect for the purposes of, so I have the exact mileage, I know what the splits are, but I'd like to have it in Notion, right? So if I like to have it, I'm gonna have it in there. So this is the workout. You know, I wrote the workout beforehand, and then afterwards, I'm probably gonna end up putting like another part of this template that says like notes or something. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, like the goal for me here is I kind of hate most running posting things. You know, like most logs online are just not great, in my opinion. Sure. Will it show you the splits and stuff? Yeah, that's great. I don't really need to post that into the public. I don't need people to see that. I don't need to have to deal with random website crashes and such. So I just like to have it in Notion. So when I just do daily planner, like you said, it populates to my main thing. This shows me my planned mileage. Do I have to do strides today? No. Do I have to do other training? No. What's my plan for the day? It's just run 12 miles. So I don't really need to write the plan when it's like specific, like, okay, you need to do this mile repeats, etc. Does Notion have a language option also? Does it?
A language option? What do you mean? As in?
Sorry, somebody asked, Hayat Khan, does Notion have a language option?
Oh, right. Yeah. I'm like, I've got my mouse at like where I was in the checks. There's a few things.
Oh, so, yeah. Sorry. Somebody else asked. True. Somebody did ask another question.
Yeah, I know. I'm keeping my mouse on the chat for when we stop, and then we're like, right, dive into the chat. Should we go in there actually while we're there?
Yeah, no problem.
Yerson, I think that's how you say it. Dimitri, is that how you pronounce it? Yerson?
Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah.
Yerson.
I'd say.
The Gant view. They are currently working on it. They've been working on it for a while, and that's publicly known. So that is a soon release date. They don't have an official release date for that, but that is on their way. You can kind of manipulate Notion's calendar at the moment to make it kind of into a Gantt view. I believe Murali's done a video on it on his channel. Murali, last name begins with a B. I can't remember. His link is on my YouTube channel, so you can go to that one. And you can kind of manipulate it, but it doesn't look great, and it does make the calendar quite bulky. But Notion are working on that. The next one was, just found the initial API. Yeah, we mentioned that. Is there any way to get a desktop like calendar view on phone? No, mainly because like the retail space. Like if you were to have that like the calendar sort of view on phone, like the text would be so small you wouldn't be able to read it. Or you'd have to be able to scroll like left and right, which you can technically scroll left and right on your phone if you have inline math that goes longer, but I don't know how that works with databases. I've been meaning to try and manipulate that and play around with that, but I haven't got round to it yet. But I don't think it will natively work because again, that's another like hack that I'm trying to do with Notion. So no, there's not a right way to do that yet. But then when you're in the calendar view on Notion, like for me, like we said earlier, like I wouldn't be planning my stuff on Notion because it's like on the calendar view and stuff in Notion, because the views are restricted. So I would either use another app for a calendar if you're using your phone specifically, or you just do your planning on PC and then go to Notion and then just have like a filtered view for what you've got to do on that day, whether that is time blocking or tasks or projects or anything like that. Would you agree with that one, Dimitri?
Yeah, totally. The calendar view on your phone is just bad. Yeah. I mean, that's why I have it like this, because then I don't have to go into the calendar. And if I want to add stuff, I mean, sure, you can plan on your phone. It's just really, like we talk about friction. I mean, do you really want to have to deal with, and oh, sorry, you know what? I just remembered another friction point about my routine calendar. Trying to fix things on my routine calendar was awful because of having to like go back and forth between the pages and stuff. It's just bad. Right. So like I couldn't edit anything. I couldn't edit anything here or like, you know, duplicate anything or change anything about this while I was on my phone. It was just bad. And sometimes I felt like I wanted to. It was just awful. It was just awful. And I was like, man, I the way I'm doing it must be wrong. So I have to axe it at the moment and figure out something else. And even if the done app's a short-term solution, but yeah, totally don't use calendar. Don't use the calendar on your phone. You know, for me personally, I'll just give a quick plug to Google Calendar. I know you said that we can do, time blocking technically in Notion. It's just, in my opinion, some things are just better for some things. Like I said with Excel, I think Google Calendar is just better, in my opinion.
Like there's loads of different ways you can do it in Notion. You can do it in a database. You can do it in just a page. There's different ways to do it, but it's like the app. Like I can't remember who I said this to, but I was like, the app is really good at everything, but it's like second or third. Whereas there are other apps that are really good at like one thing. So like Google Calendar is really good at obviously being a calendar, so it beats Notion, but Notion's like a close second or third.
Yeah, like, right. So
like Trello, really good at Kanban boards, but it's not quite there with like a lot of other things, whereas Notion like picks it. So yeah, so find the app that's specific to like, if Notion's second along the board, that's where I think it shines. Like if you use everything like in moderation, but if you're solely calendar view, use Google Calendar. If that's where you do everything, use Google Calendar. If you're solely using like Kanban boards, then go to Trello. That makes more sense. I know they're bringing in a table view soon, but like don't make your workflow fit the app. Make, like, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Did that make sense?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. So like everyone has a workflow, and just either build the app around your workflow or use an app that already works with your workflow. So yeah.
I'd say personally, for one thing, sorry, tangent, but like the planning, right? You can just do this. Like you can see what times fit, and then you put the tasks in the time, if that makes sense. That's personally my route. Obviously, there's other different ways you can do it. You don't need to use a calendar. I just think personally that way for me makes the most sense, because you see calendar, it fits whatever, you know. So
yeah. I mean, I don't time block, so that's nothing. I don't have to do. No, excuse me. I don't have to deal with any of that.
Yeah,
because I don't time block. I literally just like, these are the tasks I want to get done today. When I do them, it really doesn't matter as long as I get them done. That could be in the morning, in the evening, like as long as it disappears from that like inbox today task view, I'm good. A language option. So when it comes to different languages, I'm not 100% sure about changing Notion, like inside of Notion as a settings. There may be. That's something I haven't tried because it's natively in my first language, but I know people write inside of Notion in other languages. I don't know whether that's their keyboard settings or something like that. I don't know because I haven't tried. I'm definitely going to write it down though because I want to know. That piece of paper is full. See, even though I use Notion, I still use paper.
Paper's important, guys. Just don't forget that what we're doing with Notion though is saving the trees. No, but yeah, I mean, I still have means for paper sometimes. It's just not nearly as much anymore.
No. I mean, I used to go through like 7 or 8 notepads like so quick. I've had this notepad for absolutely ages, and I've still got like half of it left because most of it goes on Notion. The only reason I'm not putting it on Notion right now is because I've got like 3 windows up over there. I've got one up here, and I've got a Notion up, but I don't want to go into my space because I know I have my review card, and that, yeah, it's one of those like things in Notion that it's like, oh yeah, I've got to do lots of stuff at once. I think I still have the review card anyway.
I feel like sometimes it's just like screen creep, like tab creep. It's the worst. Tab, window creep, whatever you want to call it. Just too much stuff. Yeah. So you gotta have a lot of things in one place. That's why it's kind of nice to have Notion just for the purposes of it being in one place.
Yeah. 100%. I think I've got like tons of notes in my Notion at the moment, like right on the face in my dashboard. From India, good to see you. A weekly inline calendar would be most excellent. I agree for the phone, but I very much doubt that will be coming soon. I do have a very quick question in the form. Well, I assume it's a quick question. I don't know. From Congrio. Again, I apologize for the name. The question is, this is actually a really simple question. What's the music you use in your background of YouTube videos? So I actually put a recent poll out on my channel because some people didn't like the music, some people did like the music. So I'm testing, So I'm like testing the next edited batch without the song, just to see what happens with audience retention and things like that. Because the poll, you guys can't see the result of the poll, but the poll was very even. It was like 60-40, whereas all the other polls have been like 90 for 7 or something like that. So I'm going to try the next edited batch of videos with no background music. But if you are in any of the descriptions, the song is actually linked in like right at the bottom of the description. So if you're watching this back on the replay or anything like that, look at the timestamp because I'll probably timestamp this. But it's right at the bottom of every description of the video. It might even be at the bottom of the description of this because I think I've just copied the description from a video into here. So it might be at the bottom of the description of the live stream. If not, it's definitely at the bottom of the videos.
You're talking about the song?
Yeah. Well, like copyright music and all of that. I was like, I just need something in the background. And the thing is, like, there are so many songs.
I don't have a problem with the song, but dude, it's a dude humming. It's actually kind of funny. It's actually kind of funny.
But like, so I got a comment on a couple of videos that were like, "Glad you got rid of the music," or "Where is the music?" And I'm like, it's still there. It's just quiet.
Oh.
So yeah, I think it is very different. Like some people use headphones and they can hear it. Other people don't use headphones and they just can't hear it. So I'm gonna take it out and see how that works. But like the copyright music and stuff, like for me, that's quite like soothing in the background. And there's no massive peaks and troughs. There's no like big like build ups or anything like that. Because having a build up in a tutorial, you're like, what are you building up to?
You're just telling me how to do this thing. Like for my content, totally like having it really kick in, stop, kick in, slow down, that sort of thing. That makes sense. I was kind of kidding. I mean, it is just a guy humming. I don't have a problem with it. It's kind of soothing, not gonna lie. So like, I don't have a problem with it. But yeah, that's always interesting to see how your audience reacts to just little things like that. Because when you play things through speakers, you can't hear the less prominent sounds as well as when you have it in your headphones. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, and like this is something this might be like me as well. For those of you that don't know that are either watching a replay or watching in, I'm half deaf, so I'm deaf in this ear. Like I do that as zero difference. So when I'm editing, I can hardly hear the music. Like when the music was, I think it was like it was quite loud to start with. I think I turned the dial down to like 10, like -10, and I was like, I can just hear that. And people were like, wow, the music's too loud. I was like, okay, I'll turn it down. I turned it down to like -20. I can't hear it at all when I'm editing. Like all I can hear is me, and people are like, music's too loud. I'm like, what? Like I can't even hear it. And then I turned it down again, and it's still too loud. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just take it out. I can't even hear it anymore. So
I will say it was relatively loud for background music. Now I didn't think it was too loud, but you know, I'm in like the -30s for most of my background music when it's just background music. It's interesting that you have that issue with you being deaf, as I remember you telling me that. And you know, for me, doing like more, maybe I don't want to say my videos are more creative. That's rude, but it has a different aspect to it, right? I can't do color things as well as I'd like to because I'm pretty severely colorblind. And you, even just with editing, like I mean, noise. I mean, that's audio is a really big part about editing things together. So I give you credit for dealing with that.
Well, people say to me like, I like my voice, like the audio and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. Like you said at the beginning, how does my voice sound? And I'm like, I can understand it. That's about it. Like this is going way off tangent, but you know when you like play games, like gaming, and you have your headset and people sound or like try and work out where you are, I'm like spinning around in circles. I can't, no idea.
That
like,
is literally the word
sound like on my left.
Yeah, I haven't heard that word in a long time, man. I haven't heard that. I played a lot of Call of Duty growing up. I haven't heard that word in years. That made me laugh.
That was just like natural when it came out, and I was like, I don't even know if I can say that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I feel that. That's the live component. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe you can't. Well, we'll see what YouTube thinks about in the algorithm.
Yeah. Well, it's a live stream anyway, so most people will be like, 2 hours long. No, thank you. So I am curious. You have everything like short. You've got like I don't even know what it's called. Like I know you've got like the width view. You know where you can like make it full width of your page. You've got it short. Wait, is it called short view?
It doesn't say, but yeah.
Okay. Is that for phone preference?
Yep, that's pretty much that as well. Because I can see both sides on the phone. I think. Am I dumb right now? I can't. You can, right? When you see it, can you see both? Wait, let me pull it up on my phone. Like, can I see it? Can I see both sides when I do it like that? No,
it'll probably just be a list.
It is just a list. Sorry. Yeah, honestly, I don't need the extra space. That's why. That's why I don't need the extra space. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, that's fair. Everyone has their reasons. So I'm looking at the homepage, and obviously you've seen my homepage. My homepage is like my dashboard, and this seems like a link tree kind of homepage where you've got like pages galore. I assume you access all of those pages. Do you use your sidebar much to navigate?
Yeah, I mean it's mainly this. Honestly, this page is I would say this is barely used. You know, the workspace page.
That's where I was getting to.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair. Yeah, it's really barely used. I don't know why. I don't have it locked, obviously, because screen real estate reasons. Like, once I realized, like, oh man, this looks better without it. Like, I just stopped having it locked. But yeah, no, this is just where all the pages are, honestly. And is it sectioned off? Yeah. Does it really matter? No.
Okay, you've got a lot of pages there. Are there any other pages that you've got any like special things in there you want to go through? Because I feel like we've gone through what 3 or 4, and there's loads there.
3 or 4. So it is my recommendation for people who have school. Probably this is a good one. So guys, if you're really trying to make your school, easier, okay, and you're planning for when you're doing assignments easier.
Do my dissertation right now. I'm listening.
Right. The daily planner for me helps so much with the school schedule. So since I axed my routines and we've talked about it, I'm just gonna hide it. So this populates with my things as well. So you know what I should do? I'm trying to think of a way to make it show up. I can just grab something from months ago. You know, it to today. That'd be pretty. I actually am going to do that. So let's find a day where I have homework due or an exam. Let's do this. All right, April 21st. What's the date? It is July or August 2nd. So
just find the dot and just put it on the dot.
Yeah, this is literally what it is. Today, theoretically, what do I have for class? This is what I got. You know, it tells me what time I have class. It tells me I have homework. It's ridiculously nice to have my class schedule in Notion right there and what tasks I need to do regarding what homework I should do today, because I generally try to plan it out so I have like 3 to 5 days of buffer time between when I'm actually the assignments are due and like when I have done it, right? So this is like my tasks, but this is what actually was due today. Or if I have a class with an exam, it's like people always ask, do we have an exam today or do we have homework due today? And I'm just immediately the guy who goes yes or no or whatever.
Notion.
Or I say no, Notion's great. So I have the location, I have the professor's name, I have the syllabus. This guy hopefully doesn't care. Aren't all professors public information on Google anyway? Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You can find most of their information on like the university websites.
I mean,
that's universities in the UK anyway. I don't know about other countries.
Fine. So I got the syllabus. Final marketing plan and presentation was what was due that day. It's
interesting. I'm actually in the process of making a student template because I've done a video on active recall, a video on spaced repetition, a video on a timetable, and a video of like my old like student template type thing. And people keep asking like, what about this and what about that? And can you, and I was like, you know what, I'll just combine everything together into one template to speed things up, and just be like, go look at that. And I'm in the process of doing it. So I've got so what have I got? I've got like tasks, because I think tasks, like everyone's going to have some sort of task to do. Then I've got lectures, which are they classes for you?
Yeah, I mean, a lecture is what we call like when they just talk to us.
Okay.
That's the name that we use for a class, I guess, as well. But it's lecturing would just be them just kind of saying, here's information, write it down.
Right. So what would you call like the actual session where you go? Is it I'm going to that class or I'm going to that lecture?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a preference thing, but most people would say class.
Okay. Yeah, because for me in like the UK, it's like I'm going to that lecture, and that lecture is related to that module, and that module is related to the course. So the course is like the hierarchy, and then you got the modules in the course, and then the lectures. But yeah, so I've labeled it lectures, and then I think I've labeled it notebook because topic, because obviously topics you could have numerous modules, different whatever, and they're all related and things. And then you've got flashcards in there, and I'm trying to like put everything together. And I'm looking at this space, and I'm like, it's kind of similar.
Yeah, I mean, this is literally just people have syllabi when. Or you guys have syllabuses come out. Syllabi is the right word, I think, for multiple syllabuses, whatever.
Syllabuses.
Syllabuses. So what I do is I take the syllabus and I put it for each class. So first is what I do is I take, okay, this class is on Tuesday, Thursdays, right? It's done between this time and this time. I duplicated a bunch for the semester, put it in its right spot. Okay, obviously enough. I put down the date that our final exam is. Easy enough. Then I go through the syllabus and I say, okay, what's due today? Nothing. I don't put anything in there. Or actually, sorry, before I do any of this, I put all the information for the professor in the class, including an attachment of the syllabus, so that I never have an excuse on the day of class to not look at the syllabus if I need it. I have a class tag, etc. But anyways, then I can always see just in a calendar view or in my daily planner view, okay, homework's due that day. What is the homework? I have the items due there, This is probably pretty obvious. I'm just kind of talking through it. But yeah, I mean, like it's literally just the syllabus in a calendar in Notion, which then when you have a database in Notion with the proper dates, with the proper times, with the proper information, you can do anything you want with it to make it like at the forefront. So I said, it probably matters the most on that day. Put it on my daily planner.
Yep. So I'm curious. This is me not knowing how the American educational system works. When you say syllabus, is that like an outline of all of your lectures, your expectations, your assessments, your modules, and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I would show you one, but I don't know if they want me doing that. So
That's fine.
so do you get basically an outline of, okay, this is the class goals, class expectations, and then it shows literally, okay, this date we do this date we do this, / this is due, etc., etc. So
do you get given that as like a Word document or a PDF or something like that?
We get a PDF at the beginning of the semester in our online thing, or they give it to us in person. At the moment, obviously, it's going to be online.
Yes. Yeah, so because it's interesting you say that, because in my mind we were very similar. We were given like a Word document or PDF we could choose, and it sort of just outlines basically the whole year. Like, these are all of your lectures, these are all the topics we're going to talk about, these are all your like pre-read and that sort of stuff. And the way I approached it is, so for those of you that haven't seen the PDF video, because we were given PDFs mainly, I just literally saved the PDF of the week. So like just like the first semester outline, saved either the 1 or the 2 pages, and then I embedded that into my lecture template. So whenever I had a lecture, I had the template of the syllabi, whatever, and then I could make notes of the lecture inside the page while still seeing the syllabi there. So if the lecturer professor referenced an assessment or anything like that, I could see it like in my Notion page while I was taking notes, rather than having to be like, I need to open up this or whatever. And because PDFs are interactable, yeah, I'm gonna go with that, interactable. You can like scroll up and down on the PDF.
That's I mean, dude, like I took notes completely in these pages. That was where I took my notes. So I see what you're talking about. So specifically for me, I would literally, man, why does it look like I don't take notes? You know what? We switched to online classes, so let's be honest, that got easier. There we go. Here's an example.
Makes me look busy now.
Yeah, so like no, but it's like that's how I usually would go through. Before pre-virus, I would usually take my notes by hand because some professors don't like you having computers out. So, but then afterwards, I would do this. So yeah, like I would be able to reference whatever we talked about on that day as well, which made things really easy. If the professor said it's on these chapters, which was from March 19th until, here's an example, until May 2nd, I could just look through it all, put it in a big Google Doc, and I was the hero of the class.
Yep. So when it comes to like the notes, obviously everyone takes notes, and this is a question I ask a lot of people when it comes to Notion, whether it is a Notion video I've seen, someone that I've seen using Notion, or a webinar or a call or whatever. How do you review your notes? Like, everyone takes notes. Like, we capture so much information, whether that's a podcast, a video, an article, a book, whatever, a conversation. How do you review that information?
You know what? For school purposes, I will give you the answer in a moment. I have a good answer. I did this for some exams. I gotta find it. If you see
active recall, spaced repetition spring to mind, but how do you do that in Notion? Do you do that in Notion?
I don't, I'm not a big, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not a big notes reviewer, but what I will say, because I just got the idea about like my study guide. My study guides, if you see LITR.
Your screen is small because I've got like the chat up.
Yeah. Excuses. Just kidding. So here we go.
Like, I can read the top, but on a calendar view, it's too small for me at the moment because basically I'm watching a YouTube video. That's the size of the screen.
I see. Where the heck? So basically, the way I review notes is I honestly just put it into bullet points afterwards and kind of like do this thing where I check off whether I know the answer or not. Like if I really need to study for something, I will. Come on, here it is. I made a template for answering and knowing questions. So the literature of the song Dynasty, I made questions for myself based off notes. I would make questions for myself. What is the song lyric? I would try to memorize the answer. If I didn't remember it, I'd be like, okay, look. And then I test myself like this with toggle boxes. And then when I memorized it, I would be like, done. I think that's really effective studying personally. It helped me a lot. But
you've seen my flashcards database, so
yeah,
that's how I do that thing.
Yeah, it's reviewing notes though. You know what? I don't not a big note reviewer. I don't know why that is. I don't know. Going through it besides for exams, I don't have a habit of it.
That's fair enough, because like something that I've noticed with some of the, I guess, business world people, they do weekly reviews, annual reviews for business. Makes 100% sense. And they have on Notion like massive, very similar to your like daily reflection, where they have like, oh, I'm going to answer all of these questions going down. And to me, as a review, like, I don't want my review to be like an hour long of me answering questions. And potentially I could know the answer to a lot of the questions anyway. Like, just take YouTube as an example. Have I grown this week? Like, I'm looking at my numbers. Like, every time I go on YouTube, I see the number. I'm like, yeah. And I don't feel like I need to go into Notion and be like, yes, I grew this week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah.
So, and like, I guess that comes down to goal setting and whether you do goal set. How do you goal set? Do you track your goals? Actually, do you goal set?
I goal set. You know, for YouTube, I had some goal setting. I'll show you real quick. I have a YouTube page which has more pages in it. A lot of this is garbage.
I think every YouTuber's page is going to be like full of like videos, meta description, thumbnail, like
a lot of
scripts
here, honestly. So hitting 1,000 subs, I had a bunch of goals. Where's the subscriber goals? Here we go. You know, I had this for the first 1,000. You know, I had like dates set to try to do it. I accomplished it way too early. And honestly, like, that's the extent of my YouTube goal setting. Goal setting for me is definitely long term. I haven't used Notion for it so far most of the time besides this. I'd say goal setting is important. I think goal setting can be limiting. So I would always say strive for harder goals than you think you can do. So I know people are always like, well, goals are limiting. And I'm like, yeah, not having a goal also equals you're going to probably be lazy about it. Don't lie to yourself. But that's my opinion on that. Like, sure, is it limiting for myself to say, okay, I want to hit 1,000 subs by July 22nd? I started the channel in April. So honestly, that's really kind of hard to do. So like, I wasn't limiting. I was being not reasonable if you actually want to do the math on it, like statistically. And then doing it if I had said in the first place, I should do it by this date, that would have been dumb. Like, I mean, I started in April. Like, I can't really expect to, in 10 weeks, get 1,000 subs. Like, that just doesn't happen. Right. So in most cases, so you can still beat your goals. A lot of it's about the work you put in, and having the goals ends up leading to the mindset of working harder, you know? So like, I will never say once you hit your subscriber goal for the day, or once you hit your goal of working out for the day, like, just completely plop down and be whatever you want to be regarding like lazy about it. If you want to do something and you really want to strive for something, you will put in the extra effort. Just because the goal is a certain place doesn't mean you're limiting yourself. Now, I run a lot. I have goals for like running certain distances, a certain speed or whatever. I know a lot about how that can be limiting. So I just always end up saying it's going to be a huge PR in some way or something. And I'm like, I'm not limiting myself at that point though, because I'm being unreasonable mildly. And it's like, oh, it's still limiting because you put a number on it. Come on, people. Like, you can't physically just beat how well in shape your body is. I mean, people can do crazy things with their mind. Don't get me wrong. But most people aren't Olympians, you know, like
that's true.
That's just statistically accurate. Like, most people aren't, or else everyone would be. And like, if you set really high goals, I think that's great. Don't use the excuse of goals are limiting, because then you may just be setting goals wrong. I don't know. So that's my opinion.
Oh, I see what you mean. Have you come across the impossible list? I know Thomas Frank spoke about it, and there's a couple of other channels.
Yeah, he's the goat for that. That's a really good thing. It's goals.
Have you got an impossible list?
I haven't, but I should. You know,
I do.
Yeah, I'm glad. Good. I'm gonna ask you for that at some point. That's really cool. I think it's great.
For my impossible list, that's my list.
Hey, bro. I just want to know. Is that weird? No, yeah, that'd be kind of cool to see, actually. Just like how you have it made and such. But yeah, I think it's
literally just a page
with to-dos.
Literally just a page with things going down, and then as I complete it, see, I don't have it as a tick box. I just have it as like a normal text, and then I put a strike through, and then put the date at the end. But That's just me.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
just
Exactly.
personal preference.
So I think that's impossible lists are great. But yeah, goals are important. I think, anybody who's in sports will kind of say what I just said regarding like have goals, try to smash them.
Smart targets.
Yeah, smart's great. I think they sound boring. No, smart goals have never been explained to me in a great way. That every single time somehow they're explained very boring, in a very boring manner. So
Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic.
yeah, it just sounds boring, but like it's technically accurate. Like it's good.
Yeah.
Achievable. Then I think one of the greatest sayings is, shoot for the moon, you might end up somewhere among the stars. So yeah, I think that's a really great saying. As corny as it is, you and I shoot for certain things on YouTube, I'm sure, all the time. And then I fall short a lot of the times with the goals I have for like metrics and such. And then what happens? Oh, wait, I wake up, I realize I have way more support than other people who started at the same time as me. And now you're comparing, and I'm not saying comparing is great, but like that's kind of how this works in a way. Like you're growing at a certain rate better than the average means that you're among the stars. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Among the stars, I like it. So I'm just sort of like looking through chat, looking through questions. I haven't seen any questions, so I am going to dive into my space very quickly, and then we'll hop back to your space, because I figured I would show. Let's add that to stream. There we go. So I figured I'd show you my impossible list. It's like we're on stream, we're talking about it. I don't think there's anything like massively personal in there. So you can see like my notes page at the moment is just like that's just stuff from today, just notes today.
Nice.
Yeah. So exclamation mark. That is the impossible list. So it's really simple. Like there's nothing complicated about it. Wow, Notion's taking its time. There we go. I reckon that's because like I've got like so much stuff going on. Wow, I have a cover photo. Photo.
Wait a second. Nothing. You don't have a Mac? I thought you had a Mac.
Nope, I'm Windows.
Why would I think that? No,
yeah,
you seem like a Windows guy. I don't know why I thought that.
Seem like a Windows guy. Yeah, so these are like the categories that I have. So I can bounce to them if I need to, but most of the time, so because this is an area in my space, you can see it's related to my review, and I have my review time for there. So that's every 10 days. Yeah. So every 10 days, I come into my impossible list and sort of see what's going on and remind myself. So significant goals, you can see graduate from university. I technically have done that, but I haven't because obviously I'm doing my master's degree, which is why like the next one is nested. So graduate from postgraduate education. And then I go down, you can see run a 5K, because I hadn't actually officially run a 5K. Like I'd run loads and loads and loads, but never actually officially done one. So I was like, sorted. Professional goals. And this is where you can sort of see like the YouTube coming in. You see like all the dates populating, coming through. And as soon as I've done one, you see it gets crossed off and then the next one's put in. That's the next one, but who knows when that's happening.
I can't see it. You gotta tell me. What is it, 10K?
Yeah, 10K.
I was just a guess. I don't even know. I can't even see the section names right now.
Yeah, like that's the one thing on StreamYard when we've got the streaming. It's like, I can do better. But yeah, so it's like habit goals, skill goals. You could watch back on the replay, I guess.
Yeah, true.
And look through them all. Travel goals. So I'd like to go to different places, whether I actually do or not. That's all. It's sort of just things that I'd like to have there. And books read. This was related to a goal that I was like, I'm going to read a certain amount of books, and then I realized I really don't like reading.
Dude, same.
I was like, I just really don't like reading. Right. Do you want? Is there much more of your space to go over? Because I know there's obviously a lot of pages, but I don't want you to be like share all of those pages when there's like maybe personal stuff in there.
I will do my YouTube one. That's probably good. I think people will like that.
Yeah, and I got a couple of templates that I'm going to go through as well. There's not many from this week, so
I think the YouTube one is probably it, and then I'll be good. One thing though, with the reading, I got asked a question in my 1,000 sub Q&A. It's like, what books are like mostly? In fact, you saw that, and I was like, I don't really. And in my head, I'm just like, I don't read.
Watching that, I was like, I'm pretty sure he doesn't like reading, so it's gonna be interesting to see if he like names a book or anything. Did you just like Google a book and be like, that looks good?
No, dude. Like, I listen to the College Info Geek podcast, listen to productivity podcasts, and they go over the book in like an hour, and that's so much better. It's like they talked about Cal Newport's digital minimalism, and I was like, all these concepts you brought up are perfect. Everything that you said makes sense. I didn't need to read the book. Thank you. And I listened to Thomas Frank while doing it, so it was like 10 out of 10.
See, that's something that I've used like quite a lot. Is like I don't read. I like you. They are literally all of the books I've ever read on that list. There's like 7, and some of those books are academic books, so I've kind of had to read them. Yeah. And it's like if I can listen to a podcast, to a lecture, to a YouTube video, and then talk about it in a half an hour or an hour, it saves me like 7 hours reading the book. No, yes, it's a different experience, and no, maybe I'll miss things out. But when you're reading a book, you're going to get what, 2 or 3 takeaway points, like big takeaway points.
Yeah, and I do the podcast too, right? So I'm like, so that works for me. I hope it works for the people watching my stuff, right? Because I do the exact same thing with topics. You know, we talked about topics on the podcast, and I was like, yeah, we totally could have dove into that more, but that's kind of the main thing. And all you really need is a spark in your brain. You know, and with the Cal Newport Digital Minimalism book, it's impacted me immensely. The 4-Hour Work Week has impacted me immensely, but I've never read it. And I need to, because all the main 10 points that I needed out of both books are shoved in my brain and changed my mindset. And that's all that matters. Like, thank you, Tim. Sorry I didn't read your book, but people have been talking about it, and I hope that someone bought it in response to them making a podcast on it.
Like something else that sort of like springs to mind is in academics, obviously we don't have to, but we learn like the reference, and we learn like when it was published, who wrote it, blah, blah, blah. When you say the thing that was in the article, the people you're talking to only care about the result. Like they don't care where the research was, what the methodology was, like critique, synthesis, what data it was. No one gives a. All they care about is the result. Like anyone doing research, guaranteed, like if you don't do this, you must be like completely unique. You'll look at the research paper, you'll skim read the abstract. If it looks kind of good, you'll go to the conclusion. Then you'll look at the results and you'll be like, yes, I'm actually going to read this. And then you go to the introduction.
Yeah, right. I don't get it.
So I don't think anyone actually goes, right, I'm going to read all the way through this article. They may do, I don't know, but
good on that.
That's just me. Blinkist books, yeah, that's a good app actually. Good point, Stephen. Have you seen that?
No, but I now think I want to, because 12 minutes sounds like a very time efficient way to know all the points of books.
Yeah, it summarizes books like really quickly. Whoa, that was my screen. Yeah, infinite zoom. That's what we see, guys.
That's creepy.
There we go.
So I think anyone who has a YouTube channel should have something in Notion to figure things out. I know you have your own methodology of it. I use the video project tracker, which is very much based off of Thomas Frank's.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, it's taken from him and extrapolated on, right? Yeah. I think the concept of video number is great. The status of it's great. The publish date. The tags for me are just like the playlist I put it in. So I have productivity, personal finance, health and wellness, other. The video type.
I have something similar because like I have like 8 playlists or something, and I was like, I need to tag these, otherwise I'm going to forget which playlist is going where. I've also got a relation to videos, so I can see what video I've linked, like in end screens and stuff.
Which is fair. Yeah, so, that makes total sense.
So I can see like, oh, this video is not getting many views. Oh, it's not actually linked to any other video, so no other video is pushing it.
And video type for me, it's my own word for it. It's like my formal Sunday videos, my vlogs, which are on Fridays, my podcasts, which are on Wednesdays. Obvious reasons. I have playlists for my vlogs, my podcasts. Formal is just like, it's what I'm doing on Sunday. I want to differentiate it in some sort of way. So let me show an example of some relational things. I'll do that second. First, I'll just do a YouTube video, then I'll show a podcast and how I kind of relate some things there. First of all, I'll get as close as I can without.
So if you could go through like the process of like making the video, does that make sense? Like, because I assume this is a project, and then you have tasks related to the project in some way.
Kind of, yeah. Okay, let me do that.
Whether it's like a task list, to-do list, or they're actual like tasks that you put in or something.
Project template will create this, right? Okay, cool. I didn't do it the right way. I got to do it this way. This makes more sense. But I don't want to. You know what? I don't want spoilers. What doesn't have spoilers? This doesn't have spoilers. Nope, that has spoilers. Spoilers. It's not the content of the video. This is
it's like an hour and 20 in, so I think the people that are watching may see it.
Yeah,
but I can't imagine many people like.
That's fair.
And obviously, they've got to be watching your channel anyway to.
Spoilers. Well, hopefully you guys do. Wink. Spoilers. Let's just do spoilers.
I believe I've linked your channel in the description as well.
Awesome. So I get to the bottom here. I see I have a lot of things planned out, as you can see. I have every formal video planned out until December. So
I'm similar. I'm like end of September.
So let's go through the process of me making a vlog then, since that's less, and I don't have the next one planned. I don't think. Well, I'm moving out. Like I run a half marathon every week. I achieved mental clarity. Just finished that. I should have done that already.
That's why my progress is automatic. That thing right there was driving me mad. It was a friction point. I was like, I'm sick of changing the status from like in progress to do. I was just like, make it automatic, which is why I've done the formula that I have now with the traffic lights. I was like, because I'd get back to my YouTube thing. I'd be like, I swear I've published that video. I have published it. I swear I have done that. So annoying.
Yeah, man, that's I have to look at yours again to try to see how I could do that to help, but. So this is how I usually do it, right? New. Okay. It's in the vlog section, so it auto did vlog. I have tables that filter out between the views so that I can, get a little bit more of a easy
automatic.
Yeah, right. So then I just do project template. Okay. You can see what number is it? Let's say it's 63 because I do 3 videos a week. So third 63. I'll type 63. Imagine I type 63. Type the name here. I get an idea, right? I usually do a brainstorming session, and this is where this kind of starts, right? I have a video idea. I put it in here. I say it's going to be this week. Okay, it's going to be, let's say it's about, you know what? Would it be crazy for me to do it on something that I haven't really tackled a lot of? All right, how to make, because I'm probably not going to make this video.
I make Gordon Ramsay scrambled eggs.
I am extremely... I'm not tooting my own horn here, but I tell you what, I make a mean Gordon Ramsay style scrambled egg. That is not.
I'm going to trust you on that.
Hey, trust me, man. Gordon would be proud. No, but in all seriousness, it's an idea to start off. Let's say it's number 63.
Sometimes I can make a video idea and it'll go like completely like 180.
Oh yeah, totally, dude. So it's 63 would be next here in this line, and I say, okay. Last video was the 21st, so this one will be published 28th because that's when I post Friday vlogs. Now, this is obviously after I posted. I put the URL here. This is just in case once I reach monetization, if for some reason I accidentally delete all my videos again, when you are a YouTube creator in that sense and you have monetization and you get the help from YouTube, if you have all the URLs, can get all your videos back. So,
see, I actually use the URLs as well so when you're adding cards and stuff in or end screens and things like that. Sometimes the cards previously before they redid the studio beta like stuff, you had to like either like scroll and find the video. I had to put the URL in to make the card work, and obviously I had all my URLs on Notion, so I was just like, I'll copy that over.
Easier.
And I put the URL of the video that I'm trying to link to in my description as well, so people can click on the URL there. But it's so much easier just to go to my Notion, click the URL, and dump it in, rather than be like, "Where's that video on my YouTube thing?" And like scrolling down trying to find it.
Yeah, that's true. I think that URLs in Notion are way better, because I also think that sometimes when you use Chrome, like I do, Sometimes the loading of stuff in Chrome takes forever, and even in the YouTube studio, it's just annoying. So that's a good reason to have it as well. So I have, like I have my idea here, right? Pretty much everything so far is what it's going to be. Sure, I'll put 63 here, let's say. So the next thing I do is, and a lot of this, by the way, my B-roll list and stuff, this is Thomas Frank stuff, which I want to touch into, but I really don't think I should. I have, some notes I have, like move my chair down to a certain position. This isn't needed anymore. A lot of this stuff in my template is subject to change. So I'll just say, like, I have some things like, okay, I got to clean up my phone lens, go to the Moment Pro app, make sure, basement settings are on. I used to use rubber bands instead of a tripod. Check that like my couch and foosball table are symmetrical so that it doesn't look weird. I have a notepad on full. I used to use Notepad for lighting to help. I just got to test the camera angle before, because like literally I would not have a real tripod. I just makeshifted it. So this is kind of stuff like that. But most of this is memorized at the moment. So I don't really.
So all of your tasks are in your project?
All of the, so this is like the real quick recording checklist before I'd start recording, right? But that is before recording, so I kind of skipped a step. So this is research and notes. This is like title ideas, thumbnail ideas, cards ideas, video playlists. Some of this stuff, like I said, is not needed. I really do need to update this, but I paste the description in here after a lot of videos just in case. I have post inspiration / outline. This is where I just literally outline what the video is going to be like with short words. I will show something that makes more sense here. It's like one, let's do a very, this is the right. Okay, I quit caffeine for 30 days. Okay, here we go. I have the research and notes. The outline is like what I want to talk about, right? Kind of like just basic things. The script. This is where the magic happens. This is where the magic happens, people. The script.
Your script is longer than like the whole of my video planning.
So the script, as you can see, has different colors, and the different colors mean things in my brain. Green equals B-roll.
That's green? Looks like yellow.
I'm colorblind. It's probably
okay.
It's probably
it might be green, to be honest. Like the Notion colors are not the best.
Nah, it's yellow. You're right. So that's yellow. Now I know that. I didn't before. Yellow is B-roll. So this is all unticked before I start recording, right? As you can see, I got little like notes to myself of what number I shot it at. It works for me and it's quick for me, but it looks like it doesn't. It's like, okay, I shot this 11th. And I know what number of B-roll it is. So when I import it from my phone, I look in the order that it's on my phone, right, of recording, like from created. When you transfer phone videos from your iPhone to computer, it shows like in the order you created it if you organize your window like that. And I will just like drag it to the folder, put parentheses 1, parentheses 2, right? And then I do my A-roll. So my A-roll recording is with no color. This is a different type of B-roll. This is like, for example, I was doing vlog recording because it was like my day-to-day of when I was quitting caffeine. Now, what I do, which sounds stupid, but it works, is when I'm editing, I do the same thing with the ticking. I just untick them all again, and I put it in the video in my editing process by ticking it again to make sure that I have everything I need from the script in there. Because there's many times where what I do recording-wise is I sit on this spot, I go, what's up, guys? Dimitri, blah, 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 blah. A-roll, me talking.
Just like that.
Yeah. Yeah, just like the blah, blah, blah. And then afterwards, I will do a close to the mic talking of the B-roll audio, right? And then I will go and I will record the B-roll in my house or wherever. And then I got to bring it all together. So the color scheme here really helps make that happen. And then, like I said, editing it is so much easier when I have the different sections broken up into colors. So yeah, I guess the process is, like I said, I put the idea there. I kind of do an outline regarding the research and notes. It's my outline. And then I take the outline, I paste it into the script, and I extrapolate pretty heavily on it and write the script out. Takes me like, I don't know, an hour and a half to do something like this script-wise. And then editing-wise, I just tick off all the boxes and say, okay. And then when I watch the video again, I go, all right, do I editing checklist? I know my man Thomas Frank has this. Most of this is memorized now. You know, like in the beginning, I will say this was needed to help me.
It's like, what have I got to do?
Yeah, no, it's really important. But now I have a lot of my templates set up in my editing app, which is Vegas Pro, to show it, and then publishing. You know, do things like the thumbnail, description, include.
Have you used like the same emoji?
Oh, this is from him. Like this is a duplicate.
Oh, you duplicated it.
It's a duplicate of his, and I changed the wording from like all the Adobe Premiere stuff to Vegas Pro and stuff like that. And I did change my script writing process, I'm sure, much differently from his.
Probably.
This is not him at all. He doesn't use, I don't know if he uses TweetDeck, but like all this stuff, all the editing and publishing checklists were changed. But the concept I thought was good. So for me personally, I really need to work on this. A lot of this is old. I use vidIQ, but I don't. This stuff is
TubeBuddy or Morning Fame on there. I'm disappointed.
I use TubeBuddy and vidIQ.
Do you use Morning Fame at all?
What was that? What's that?
Take that as a no then.
Yeah, that's a no. What is
it? Morning Fame. It's similar to TubeBuddy and vidIQ. It's a keyword research tool that I use for SEO. Basically, like SEO is the easiest way to do it.
Is it free?
To be honest, I can't remember the amount of free codes I've been using for it. You probably have to.
Don't make me mooch off, you know.
I think it's one of those things where like you have like a free month and then you got paid for something. I can't remember. I really can't remember, to be honest. Like because a lot of the channels like Nick Nimmin, I'm gonna like blast a load of like random names. Brian G, Daniel Patel, video creators, all of those sort of people. They use Morning Fame, and like every once in a while they'll be like, oh yeah, free code for Morning Fame and all the other stuff, and I'm like, I'm on that code. Because I use TubeBuddy for a lot of the tags, descriptions, that sort of stuff, and I use vidIQ for my watch time because it's the only thing that can keep up with watch time. You know, like the top of the screen.
Yeah.
And then I use Morning Fame for like all of my SEO research because, like, I spoke about this to John, the other guy that was on the podcast, the other guy that was on the live stream. Spoke to him about it, and he was like, I just keep searching up like different words and different things I can do, different video ideas, and I'm like, it's fun. It's fun.
So fun. So yeah, I guess the only thing relationally would be, you know, I got podcast tracker, which is literally just the same thing as the YouTube tracker, but I just separated it. I did that with blogs as well. I do have a relational database regarding my guests. So you're on here somewhere. There we go.
Ooh.
Man, look at you. My guests, I really need to edit this because honestly, like I said, this is a lot of Thomas Frank, but it's just kind of there at the moment.
It doesn't matter. Mine is like, I think it's like 95% me.
But dude, I don't use so much of this. Like I don't use this.
That's literally why, because I looked at his template and I was like, do I duplicate it? And I was going through it. I was like, I don't use B-roll. My script is not that long. Like my scripts are so short. I don't really need to plan out metadata and stuff in Notion because it's on Morning Fame. I don't need to do a lot of the stuff that's in there. So most of my YouTube like planning page is literally just like a blank space for script, because all of my to-do lists are in my tasks, which go to my task database. So if you haven't seen it, literally, I'll open up the project and drag across the tasks into task database. Don't have to think about anything. Like all the checkboxes and stuff are done. Just got a question in the form, so I'll answer that one before you carry on. This is from Theo Hall. Any thoughts about Rome research? Sorry if you've already answered this. We haven't already answered this. I've also seen Stevens put something in chat as well. Rome research. So Rome research for me is a great app for bidirectional linking. That's pretty much it when it comes to what else it can do. Because essentially everything else that it can do, Notion can do, Evernote can do, like other note-taking apps can do, Obsidian. So the difference between Rome and Notion to me is Notion can do a lot of other stuff that Rome currently can't, and it comes down to a preference as to how you want to do those things. I don't like the way Rome looks personally. Like I don't like the aesthetic. What about? I see you shaking your head.
That ain't it, son. That's just not. I think it's got this cool relational thing ish with linking, kinda, but like, really, I don't know. Like, is it needed? Maybe. Does it help? Kinda. Why do people care? I, I don't know why people care about notes this much. That's my opinion. Like, I'm a very big productivity guy, but like notes, man, like notes are notes. It's my opinion. Notion, like he said, you know how you said earlier about Notion's like a second. I'd say notes are so low on the bar for me that them being second in notes is like, yeah, that's fine. Let's just keep it in the same space, you know, if that made any sense.
Yeah, like I think so. If you've seen August Bradley or there's four other people that like I can see their faces, but I can't see their names. They use a combination of Thiago Forte has spoken about it briefly. Ali Abdul's spoken about it briefly. They're not the names I was thinking of, but they use a combination of Roam and Notion. So something that I've heard quite a few times is Notion's really good for refined notes, whereas Roam, Obsidian, Evernote, whatever, is really good for scrappy notes.
Yeah, where it's just like your ideas and they're just like coming out of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, by the way. I don't have a problem. I'm not trying to really harp on Roam that much. I'm just saying if you're gonna like pick a note app, I'd say just like if you use Notion, just keep it in there. But if you want to have your ideas just be dumped somewhere, I personally think you can just put it on a different page. But like how we talked about with my routine and my habit tracking, I decided to just put it on a different app. So that would be very hypocritical of me to say, like, okay, you don't really have to have your habit tracking on the same thing as Notion, but not allow people to do that. It's okay if you do that.
Yeah, I've just sort of seen Theo's thing in chat. He said he went to Rome for a couple of weeks and then came home to Notion. Like, I think when it comes to other apps, Roam, Obsidian, like I say, they're really good at that one or two thing. Like I've seen it. I've seen Roam like called on Twitter. Someone said on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, and they said Roam is 2 features rather than an app. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Because essentially Roam is I don't even know what it's called, the big mind map type view thing that you can drag stuff around. Do you know what I'm talking about, Dimitri? The dot with the lines that go to everything.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
To me, that just looks like an absolute mess. And it's cool to look at, but I don't see much use for it. But then I haven't used it that much, so there may be. And the bidirectional linking, again, like you can kind of do that in Notion anyway with the tags database or mentioning pages or using relations. Like it's kind of there, not the same way. But yeah, so if you are like a heavy note taker and you need to expand in different directions, then use like Roam, Obsidian, Evernote, or whatever as your like scrappy note taking. And when you've refined those notes into something you're going to use, because essentially the notes you take are either for revision, so you need to learn something, which means you need some sort of active recall, spaced repetition, where you're storing those notes, which I don't know if Roam has. I know Remnote has. That's another potential. Or you're using those notes to like create something like a piece of content, in which case you ideally would want your notes system. Yeah, ideally you want your notes in the same places wherever you're going to build the content, whether it's like a blog or in our case a video. Otherwise you're going between apps all the time. That's how I would look at it. Like, what are you going to do with the notes? Like, if they're just going to stay there as like an Evernote filing cabinet and they just sit there, then use whatever. If you're using those notes to brainstorm things, then maybe use Roam, Obsidian, whatever, to brainstorm things. And once you've brainstormed it enough that you know exactly what you're going to do with those notes, then move it to the place appropriate. But if you can do all of that brainstorming inside of where you're going to be building the thing anyway, I personally would just stay there, which is why I use Notion for everything, because I use Notion for the big stuff. So all the small stuff, unless I really need a feature, I'll just do it in Notion.
See, I'm actually writing a note right now, by the way, about how I just went through and looked at all the different things I don't use in my video templates. I'm like, dude, you need to fix that. Please make time for that. I'm writing a note on that. And just to further what your point is, I think it's okay. Whichever one you feel more comfortable with, I'd suggest something. Notion can be used for brain dumps as well. You know, like I just make another page, or make another page tree like I have with my workspace. Now, is that what you want to do? Could not be. Not going to say it's the wrong thing that you don't want to do it. Having a separate app is fine. I'm just saying if you want to make it maybe easier to then transfer the notes, though, it will be in Notion. Do you get what I'm saying, Danny? Like how if you have it with certain blocks, if you want to have tick boxes or you want to have it numbered or something, it's going to transfer a little bit easier from your brain dump pages in Notion, which is definitely a thing because Notion is just so crazy as it is. I mean, you can you did the thing again. Yeah, like I would say personally, my brain dumps are on Notion. It's just like easier for me to take the tick boxes, take the numbers, or the numbered lists, and put them back into a more refined space once I figure things out.
This is literally my brain dump. Like I'm watching a video, something comes to mind, it's right there. So
yeah, that makes sense.
On my dashboard. Like this is just loads of random stuff that goes in here. This notes database is here.
Or no, sorry? Is it just static, or does it go somewhere the next day?
Well, this.
Yeah, that's just that's static, right? That's not.
Yeah, it just sits there unless I do something with it. So most of the time when I'm dumping stuff in there, I either need to action it like later on in the day, or I'm going to put it into this database. So I can literally just like click and drag it up here. And then this is the notes database. So this is a clipper. This is a video, I believe. It might not be. See, I haven't processed this note yet. There you go. It's a video. So I watched the video on YouTube. That's the link. And this is directly from the clipper. So I've just clipped it. There you go. That's the video. And I was like, okay, there's a couple of cool things in there. So I just clipped it. But I haven't sorted it at all. And these are other notes that I just haven't sorted. And then when either this gets really big and starts filling up my inbox, I'm like, okay, let's start sorting these notes. Or I'm like, I need to process that. Then I will go into here. And then I can filter those for whatever area section I need to filter it for. So come down here. So you can see that's that note. And then as soon as I drag it out of here, so I can do that right now. So I can drag it out of here and put it into YouTube. Right. And now what it's done is, because of the filter in it, it's attached YouTube to the note. These are process notes. So these are things that I've dealt with, I've done. Now when I go back to my dashboard, the note is going to be empty, see, because of the filter I've got. So if there is an area related to, like, if there is an area, there you go. If the area is empty, it's there. If not, then I don't need to see it on my dashboard. And if I was to go into YouTube now, the note will appear in YouTube. So if I have a video idea, I can write it down on the text block, like in my dashboard. Then I look at it and go, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll put it in my notes database. Then I can either make the relation right there. Thank you. I can either make the relation right there, or it's because I've got this. I was like, that's taking a while. Let's turn it into the calendar view so we get some speed back. Because it was loading like every single video that I'd made, which is like 100 and something. But yeah, so you can see that's that note there. And then if I finish with the note, I can tick the tick box and it disappears. But these are all the notes that I have in my notes database that are specifically related to YouTube. So that's how I can like process those notes. But if it was elsewhere, I'd have to bring it in, then sort it, and then work out what I was going to do with it.
Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, I'm going to do a series on like my whole system, because there are so many things to my system, like all over the place. Like the video that I did like the other day with like how I use Notion type thing, that went over tasks, projects, and then briefly like how I solve issues with like this one. So what's that? That's 3 of the however many tabs I've got up here. What's that? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Yeah. So there's a lot of things in there, and then like each area has its own like process as well. Have you got anything? You went over your YouTube space, didn't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Like there's some relations between like the guests and stuff. But that's pretty basic. Like I just have another table for who the guests are, what they're about, and like their emails and stuff, which is nice to have. But I really do need to clean up some stuff. I'd say this, we were talking about earlier about friction points. Clean up more than maybe try to find something new. Like if you really want to fit around with Notion, I'd clean up stuff. Because there ends up being things that are redundant or that you don't need, and there were good ideas. But I had like plenty of different relational things on my task/event calendar that weren't used for months, and I said, okay, I'm deleting the relations. That those don't exist to me anymore. Doesn't matter. It's not going to negatively affect anything if you do that. So
Yeah, I agree. And it's a process that I actually have inside of Notion. So all of my tasks, so my task database is essentially disposable. So
Nice.
every single task is disposable. Except like the recurring tasks obviously stay there, but when I don't need the recurring task anymore, I just delete it. The event, once I've been to the event, I just delete it because all the notes from the event goes in my notes database. So it's kept there. So like the event notes are kept in the notes database, which are filtered for wherever they need to be. My tasks are just deleted. Like once I've done the task, I delete it. So all of the YouTube tasks like research, script, video edit, screen edit, record, edit, and then like whatever the others are, I don't remember. Like they'll all go into my task database, and once I've done them, like I think it's like a Sunday, I'll just delete everything because I don't need the task anymore because I've done it. And the project is like the result of those tasks. So if I've scripted it, the script will be in the project, which is the video.
Makes sense.
But yeah, so like everything's like deleted. I do have a couple of templates I'm going to quickly go over. So I'll take you back over to that screen, and then I will bring me. Oops, I've thrown you off. Where are you? There we go. Clicking the wrong buttons.
Theo, glad we answered your question well. And hopefully, Stephen, that answered your question as well. Is that the same question?
Yeah. I did see those. I was like, I'm glad you acknowledged those. Right. So as you can see, there's not actually that many templates I did this week, but this is a question that I got from actually last week's stream, and I was like, I could do that, but it's going to take a little bit of like finicky playing around with. So of course it's now gone over to here. Right. So essentially this one is business days. So it's counting business days, like how many days you've worked, because the formulas in Notion count every single day. So here I've classified a business day as Saturday and Sunday. So you can see this is week 1. And it's going into Saturday, but it's 4 business days. This one's week 2, and it's 9. So you can see it's down here. This is where the calendar view, I wish. Like if this was in a Gant chart view, when that comes out, it's going to make things so much cleaner. Because I've got 3 tasks in here that they appear so many different times. But the number at the bottom is essentially counting. And it's counting the days minus the Saturday and Sunday. So you can see this is 3 weeks worth. So in theory, that would be like 21, but it's actually only 14 because Saturday, Sunday. This is a template in my templates database, which is complete, so you can duplicate it and see how everything works. But basically, if we come into here, it's just the formula that works, which is there. Dimitri, how familiar are you with formulas?
Just a little. I don't really use them as much as I should, but I don't really have reasons to use them besides like you saw with the pace, just the very basic division of like minutes over miles.
Yeah, most people don't need formulas, to be honest. Like the way I'd class formulas in Notion, like even though relations and rollups are classed as advanced in Notion, I'd say basic blocks, obviously like fundamentals. Then I would class like relation and rollup as intermediate, because I think the majority of people that use Notion further than just quick note taking uses relations and rollup.
I use those, yeah.
Like almost everyone uses them. But not everyone uses formulas or needs formulas at all. So I'd class like formulas advanced, relations rollups like intermediate.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Because as you can see, formulas can be as simple as this or something really, really complicated, like the recurring task video where you're like, oh my God, I don't get that. But yeah, so if you're interested to see how this one works, just come into the template. But this, as you can see, this is a quick note, only works for 2 weeks because that's how I've set it up. If you want it to work further than that, then you just need to copy the formula down or contact me, and I'll just add that in. These are the formulas that are working. So it's an if statement, start and end, just for the dates, date between, and then a quick or. So nothing too complicated in that one, I don't think. But for those of you starting with formulas, literally, I would just go in and dissect everything that I've done, because otherwise, if you change something and you're like, why doesn't that work? You'll just get confused. This one is actually, so this was quite funny. I got asked how to make a normal table in Notion, and I was like, well, you can do it with inline maths. And they're like, how do you do that? So I just made it. So I made this, and literally, like, I don't know, like 10, maybe 15 minutes after making this and sending it off to the person, like I used the copy link and just sent it to the person. Red Gregory put up a video, and she showed her like 12 minutes into the video how to make this, and I was like, if only I'd seen that video like 15 minutes beforehand, I could have just copied the link and sent the video to them. But yeah, so this is how you can make a table. You can make any line thick, any line dashed, and as you can see, like I've added in colors and stuff because colors, Notion, why not? And this is the maths. So you begin the array, so essentially begin the table, like making a table. The C's is how many columns you've got. Excuse me. These are how many columns you've got. This is the text style that I have for the first column. This is the color for the first column. This is what's in the first column. And then this is all the second column stuff and third column stuff, etc., etc. And if you see the 2 lines here, this is enter. So that's like the next line, basically. So that is that. Again, you can come in and duplicate it, play around, add, subtract, do whatever you want with it. It's a nice way to view things. And something else that Red Gregory actually noted in her video is inline math. Well, not inline math. The math equation, i.e. this block, naturally centers. So you could, instead of just having like a whole table in here, you could have a title in here, and then it's naturally centered. So you could center text with the maths block, which I don't know if you know you could do that, but it's a nice little thing.
Yeah.
So do you use inline math at all?
I honestly, I don't really have a reason for it. Math is not what I did for school at all, really, post like sophomore year. I think I haven't taken a math class in a couple of years. I don't really have many things to calculate, to be blunt. I don't really need it.
I like the maths in Notion. I've never used like actual maths in Notion. It's all for colors.
Oh, it's all for colors. Yeah, I don't really, like I said, colorblind. I don't really get it. I mean, like, I don't say I don't care how things look, but I did just change my whole wardrobe to like black and gray shirts. So that tells you
right. So this one was like me going a little bit OTT on the like inspiration. So you can see it's a pixel heart. Like there's a play on words because it's pixel art, but it's a heart. You see?
Yeah, that's cute.
But yes, so I've made essentially pixel art in Notion, which is just like a little bit of fun. This was like the easiest thing that I could find on the internet to make, because pixel art is obviously like a big thing. So I'm thinking of like, I don't know, doing like a pixel art Mario or something like that.
I think that would be fun.
Having your own pixel art characters into Notion.
What if you managed to put a jingle next to it and like an embedded audio file, and then like they click it and then like it moves or something? I don't know. Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. But yes, for those of you that don't know how inline maths works, obviously you saw it on the last page. When I click on this, just like be aware, I didn't do it all in the one tab. Is it even going to show you? Yeah, there we go. So it's like extensive to get pixel art in Notion. It's kind of extensive. But it's just like a load of copy and paste. Let's come out of there now. This is also pixel art. This is like, well, it's not pixel art. It's just Notion using different fonts. So I mean, this isn't color. This is just changing the font in Notion, which could be like interesting from a design standpoint. But yeah, so if any of you like pixel art, do pixel art, or have any ideas about like what you'd want to see in pixel art, not like massive things that like 500 by 500 squares, because that would be insane. like the inline math on that would be absolutely insane. But yeah, this is like, again, me kind of like pushing the limits of what you can do in Notion, trying to see what you can do. What are your initial thoughts when you see this in Notion?
I think it's fun. I don't see the productive purposes for it personally. It's just funny.
Oh yeah, yeah. There is no like deliberate like just use case. Yeah, it's using the app for something it was not built for.
Yeah, that's our version of playing video games and such now.
Exactly. And then we'll kind of finish off the templates with one that's a little bit more practical and kind of more sensible. When it loads, there we go. So this one is, someone asked Actually, for those of you that someone asked earlier, different languages. These are the words that they used. I don't even know what language this is in, but I just used the same words they did. Do you know what language this is?
I can't really. No.
I want to say like Italian or Spanish or something like that, but I don't know. But yeah, and what they wanted to do is, I think this was like finance, because that's what it sort of said in the question. These are the numbers. And these are numbers to number 2. And what I've done is, you can see I've related all of those things together. I will read that question in a minute. Ryax. Ryax. So I've related all of these to number 1. And then I've used the relation to number 1 and number 2 to create the roll-up for number 1 and number 2. And then I've calculated the difference using a formula, which is a very simple like minus. Because they wanted to have the sum here and the sum here and take them away from each other. And the easiest way to do that in Notion is here. Were you going to say something?
I just like the question the person asked.
Oh, right. Okay. So if you are going to do like heavy financial analysis, then go to Excel or Google Sheets. But if you're just doing something like this is fairly simple. Like the formula is not complicated. It's a simple minus. And then relations and rollups. So again, if you've got anything like that, you can.
I have like finances I've kind of worked with in Notion before, and I definitely agree with you on the fact that probably Excel or something's better for it. I think that, honestly, for personal finance purposes, I would really give a lot of stock into certain apps that are like for personal finance. Like if anyone here has heard of mint.com is great to track your personal finances. Clarity Money's great. Like that stuff's meant for it, and it's connected to your bank account, right? Like, yeah. I think a lot of the manual input that's required with things like Notion, I'm just like, sure, maybe can I conceptualize like loans and such and whatever, putting some numbers in. Yeah, with Notion or an Excel spreadsheet, it's great. I honestly think mint.com and Clarity Money pretty much have it figured out to help people out with like their expenses and all that kind of stuff. So definitely, we're talking about productivity. I think personal finance is definitely different. It's a different thing. And I don't know if you want to answer this RYX or RIX, or I don't know if that's an acronym or.
Do you want to read the question out? I've just seen Roxanne, too much work for art. Agreed. Yeah. There was a lot involved.
RYX asks, do you think that productivity decreases the more productivity tools you use? I think 1 at best 2 is a sweet spot. You're probably right on it being okay. Sorry, this is actually a bit of an interesting topic, because I know Ali Abdal's talked about it like this. You can have a bunch of them and they can be nice tools to use in a tool belt. It kind of matters on how you are. I know Danny uses pretty much Notion, right? Just Notion. I pretty much use Notion. I don't really have a reason to use anything else. I think being a master of none isn't great. I think too many is bad, but I think maybe having 2 to 3 is okay, because you can be good enough with all of those. Like I use Google Calendar and Notion, and that is 2 things technically. Find the sweet spot for you, but I definitely would say 2 to 3 is probably my max. I would recommend.
Yeah, agreed. Like I explore a lot of other apps. Like I've explored hundreds of apps, but I don't want to have like an app for everything. Like there's a habit tracking app, there's a finance app, there's a project app, there's a like we said, like beginning of the stream, Notion's second or third in most things. So it's like I'll take the second and third and just cover my bases for a load of the other apps, rather than have like the best app for that one thing. That's the approach that I've taken.
You're gonna always have learning curves and stuff if you kind of switch apps, I think, which isn't great. I think I'm gonna like test out a bunch probably for my channel. I have some plans to do ClickUp video, a Taskade video, because the CEO of Taskade reached out to me. Did I tell you
that? You did now.
Yeah. Do you know what Taskade is?
I've heard of it.
Like a Notion competitor, kind of. They reached out to me and said, "Hey, you want to make a video? I'm not going to give you money, but do you want to make a video?" I was like, "Yeah, why not?" I could kind of joke about that in the video. But yeah, like I'm going to try it out. Will I use it? Maybe. but it's a hard maybe because Notion has so many different things that I'm just kind of like, I don't want a learning curve. I don't want to transfer that sort of things. And it's maybe mildly sunk cost, but I honestly think, like Danny's saying, like it's second or third in everything. And in some things it's first place in my opinion. So give Notion. If I had to give like a concrete answer, if you block schedule, don't use Notion. I'm a time guy.
Don't use Notion for that. No.
Don't use Notion for that. I'm a time guy. I'm a big time management guy. It's not good for it, personally, in my opinion. I don't think it's as effective. I think it's Google Calendar's first place. Woven Calendar can be first place if you make it work. Apple Calendar's third, if you have Apple products, obviously. And personal finance, probably, have something that tracks your personal finances, so at least easily you can transfer it to Notion, but then just use Notion. Probably like that. That's my personal opinion. I don't know what you got on this, but
very, very, very similar. Like I use Notion for pretty much everything. Like the obviously email, I don't use Notion for because you can't email off Notion, like API and all the rest of it. But maybe API, but who knows? Well, it's going to come, but who knows what happens with it? But I use Notion, so it's sort of like I've said this actually quite a few times. I feel like Notion is the glue that brings things together. Like if you've got a couple of other apps, I would use Notion as like the glue to make things work. So note taking in wherever, bring it into Notion with the refined notes. If you've got time tracking wherever, the time tracking directly relates to your tasks. So if you're doing task management, like you've got task management in Notion, but your time blocking is in Google. So like Notion's the glue to sort of bring that stuff together. And finances, the best way to track your finances is obviously online accounts, because that's exactly where the money is. If you use a second app to track things, do that. I personally use Notion to do that. So I can see the transactions in my account. All I need to do is put the transactions from there into Notion when I remember. And then I get given all the numbers and I can sift through whatever I need to. Does it matter if people, like, I know some people when it comes to tracking finances in Notion, they're like, but what about security? One, most people won't bother hacking into your Notion account. And if they do, great on them.
They know your net worth. Like, cool. Like, not to be rude or anything, but like, how many people make personal finance videos on the internet?
Yeah, that's the point I was getting to.
I was like,
if people see my number, I was like, great. What can you do knowing that number from Notion? It's not linked to my account in any way. It's literally just a number on the page. And I said the other day, like, I could put that I have £3 million in my account. It might be completely false. You don't know.
That's a fact. That's true.
Like, it could be just a number in Notion. It doesn't mean it's right.
It could just be a test template. They don't know. I think a good thing to point out is I would say with passwords, I would say use a password manager. That's not really like, don't put it in Notion, like, because if for some reason somebody hacks into it, like I just don't want you losing all your passwords, that sort of thing. I think notes are good, but like, I think pen and paper, for obviously the safest thing for passwords is pen and paper, because
as long as you don't lose that piece of paper.
Unless you don't lose it. I think a password manager like LastPass is proven in some sort of weird way, which I still don't understand, that it's literally impossible for someone to take your passwords, because they don't even have your passwords, apparently. I don't know how it works, but they apparently don't have your passwords.
They're out there.
Yeah. So just don't put your passwords in Notion. Yeah.
See, the security question actually came up last week. I think Roxanne and John sort of like, we shared our views on this. But there's another question coming in the form. Yes, Roxanne has asked a question. Whoops, my bad. I'm getting to the question. My bad. So the security thing, when it comes to like passwords and things, unless you have like where the if you've got the same password for everything, one, that's a bad idea. Like, that's a bad idea to start with. But unless you have like Google Drive password, bank account password, like, even if they see those passwords, they need to know the username and where it's going as well. So there are so many like ways you could do that. I think Roxanne mentioned something like hiding a password in the middle of like a blocks of text and you knowing where that is. Like, maybe there's different ways around it, but like in an ideal world, either remember the passwords or have them somewhere that's fairly safe. I was reading the same question. I was like, what is going on? I swear I've just answered that question. It's because I was on questions, not individual. There we go. How can I add in a formula in the information of a rollup and not the Notion link? Was playing with formulas in Notion and was trying to sum up 2 rollups of the table, but I keep the Notion link. When it comes to Notion link, Roxana, I assume you're referring to the relation URL link. If you're rolling up, if you don't understand Notion, this may be a little bit. So if you're rolling up a relation of a relation, what it will do is it will take the relation link in the rollup rather than the value that you want to give, which is kind of a pain. So I assume that's what you're talking about when it comes to the Notion link, where you're seeing the rollup of essentially like the page link, like whatever the long spew is, rather than seeing the actual number. So I think that's a rollup of a rollup issue. If it is, then maybe try and rework the databases to do it that way, or use, so this is the other way around. You can use the first rollup, copy the first related rollup into a formula, and then when you roll up the rollup of a rollup, you'll be rolling up the formula copy of the first one. So you don't have the link, you've just got the name. That probably made no sense. But like going through that process now would take a while. So maybe Roxana, if you wanna message me on Discord or something, and message over the specific issue, we can go through it that way. Because explaining it on here, like, and going through the process, I'd need to know what numbers you're working with, what databases you're working with. Otherwise, I can make like 5 databases with rollups and relations all over the place. But yeah, have you come across that issue, Dimitri, at all?
I haven't had to use that use. I haven't had to deal with that issue. Honestly, like what you've seen is basically all I use on Notion. Rollups, now I think about it, I actually don't have a rollup. I have relations. I don't have a rollup. Right. I haven't used a rollup. I haven't used one single rollup now that I think about it. Why is that?
I was going to say that is interesting. Most people. So it's interesting. On my channel, one of the most popular videos on my like channel for beginners is rollup, like how to use a rollup. Because I feel like relations are fairly simple to get the hang of from what I've seen on like views. Like my relations video, I mean they're all doing fairly well, but the relations video is like below the relations and rollup video, and then there's another video, and then there's the rollups, and I was like, people want to understand rollups. I wonder, don't get it.
I wonder why I haven't. I mean, you've seen my space. Maybe it's because, just as a matter of fact, that I just kind of like show the databases on the planner, and it doesn't really matter. I don't really know if there's enough. I don't know.
I think like going through your space, you have a lot of like click pages, if that makes sense. Like you go into that page and then you see the stuff, and then you can go into that page and see the stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas like for myself anyway, I will have most things are in databases. And when you're in databases and you have like a page that's in a database, that's in a database, that's in a database, if you want to see what information was like right at the start, you need that roll up to be able to see. A perfect example for me is my tasks database. I have a roll up of my essentially video due date. So in the task, I can see when the video is due, because like I want to know when the video is due to see if I can move the task on. So I'll have the due date of the task. So when I'm going to do the task, which is a date property, but then I have a roll up from the property relation telling me when the video is due. So I can see, do I have time to do this task today? No, I don't. Is it okay if I push it over till tomorrow? And I can look at the due date right then instead of having to go, use your video, when is it due? That sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe that's because I'm always so kind of, I always know when things are due. I'm weird. I always know.
That's, yeah, I mean, that's
don't need the reference.
Yeah, that's a use case for me. Okay. And then I have loads of other roll-ups going on.
Do you know maybe why it is? My properties are the same in everything except for my YouTube thing, and my properties are the same across all these 3.
I'm bringing you up on stream.
Yeah, my properties are the same across this. Yeah. Like the properties are the same. So I don't really need to. I just don't use some properties sometimes. Like I have a due date property. I just don't use it half the time. Like when I'm not.
You don't need a roll up. You don't. I feel like you're like, I need to put a roll up in now.
No, I totally. Yeah. Huh. I just don't. I probably just don't need it. Like this. Like I had the due date and I dragged it from my planning page to here. Like I dragged it from originally here because I put all of my assignments here, right? And then I just drag it here, and then it pops up on the date, and then it comes here when it's the day. So I just don't need the roll up. That's probably why I just don't need it.
Yeah, I mean, like off the top of my head, I've got a few roll ups in my space, but it's kind of like convenience to save like 2 clicks, like going one place, coming back. But most of the roll-ups I have are because I already have the relation there. Like I don't go out of my way to make a relation to get the roll-up, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I think that's because I've got information that's related already. Like I know I'm going to be bouncing from a task to a project, so that's already related. I know I'm probably going to be bouncing from a task or a project to an area, so they're already related. But yeah, and then if there's information I specifically go and see when I go to, like when I bounce from like database to database or page to page, like roll-ups just saving that backwards and forwards jump. So I got another question in the form. Biggest stringe? I'm going to bring this on screen so you can read this. Can you see this?
No, wait. No, I can't.
Oh no, because it's there. Ooh. Drag that over there. There we go. This is the question. So, biggest stringe, I think. I really apologize if I've said that name wrong. I'm a bit like you. I want to use Notion for everything. Okay. Doesn't have to be for everything. I didn't start with everything. I can't see why Notion couldn't be used for bookkeeping in small business. Can you? Can you? Yes. Should you? Depends. How do you? Great question.
Books, honestly, though, like I get what you're saying. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry, finish what you're saying. My bad.
Oh no, I was gonna go off on a whole thing, but you go for it first.
Could you? Yeah. Should you? We talked about this earlier. Like QuickBooks is so good, and like some things are just so good. Like I know we talked about like, do we want it for second? Do we want things to be first place, second place? I'd honestly ask yourself this question. Now, don't get me wrong. If you manage to find a way to make Notion close to the first place app for it, do it. Do you really want your business's finances to not be number one, though? Isn't that a fair question to peg?
Oh, very true.
Yeah, like that's a very important thing. Now, if we mess up on productivity, what are the ramifications of that? What's the ramifications?
It could be high.
It could be high. Yeah, we could like miss a deadline or something. But the gratifications of messing up your finances are like directly bad for your business. Like taxes wise, you can miss out on tax breaks, which obviously over time is not a good thing. I mean, like it's just I don't think it's a bad idea. I'm just saying I pegged the question. Maybe find something that is specifically for finances because you mess up with finishing something and wave for my business finance. Okay, see that wave app, that might be a good thing I didn't know about, but yeah, I think you kind of get where I'm getting at with this.
Yeah, and like I say, like Notion is really good at a lot of things, but there are limitations. When it comes to like keeping a small business and managing a small business in Notion, when it comes to wikis, definitely. Task management, project management, definitely. Definitely, can you do it? Should you do it? Again, that's dependent on the business, the people that use it, and that sort of stuff. I think finances is the main question mark as to whether you do it in Notion, whether you don't do it in Notion. If it's a startup business and you've got nothing else to do or use, then go for it. Similar with like the whole website thing. Can you use Notion as a website? Yes. Should you? You could to start with. But as you start getting bigger,
yeah, it's not really feasible I don't think it's a feasible long-term play there.
Nah, because you need the speed that Notion doesn't give you online and on the phone. Like this, it's minimal, but those sort of like speeds when you have big things coming in and out and all the shops and stuff and everything else, you kind of need a website specific thing.
Oh, they're dead simple. Okay, if they're dead simple, don't get me wrong. Like you can use it. It was just a more like, I feel like integration.
If it's just like an in and out, yeah.
Sure, yeah, I just feel like integrations between bank accounts and specific finance apps are just easier. So it could be a time saving thing, like sometimes I'd argue, saving times with that app. Now, even if it seems dead simple over time, like you could be putting more time into your cognitive ability, like we were saying with bandwidth. Like if you just want to save the bandwidth on having to transfer things, you could then use that extra time and mental effort to improve your business. Get this new idea. I know that sounds far-fetched, but like when you're drained from doing something even as simple as copying and pasting something, trust me, I've done I'm sure we all have done like the stupid monotonous work. Like it drains you to be able to not do those things. So if there's an integration with a business app that makes it so it's like this instead of going back and forth through finances, that could be the difference mentally and productivity wise of you figuring out something to then take your business to the next level. I mean, that's extrapolating on the concept, but that's, I don't know, self-improvement guy. That's kind of where my mind always is.
So something else that I think is worth noting, like for me anyway, I like to have some sort of manual process when it comes to finances. So I'm actively looking at like finances. Because if it was all automatic, I'd be like, oh yeah, I think I've got, or I think I've done. Whereas when I see those numbers coming in and out, I'm like, should I really have spent that on that?
That's a fair point. I guess I didn't think about that. I guess with business finances though, if you have like a set time for the overview, if you have a set time for the overview, then it would at least be like a reflection and knowing like for your business is doing well overall. Good morning, Cameron. There would be a great, yeah. I guess it'd be an interesting case study for yourself, for yourself. If you find yourself being able to do a reflection at the end of the week, if this is how much I spent, that could be equivalent to the manual like input. So
input,
yeah. I don't know. That's the thing about this. We're all good vibes. I agree with the good vibes, by the way. It's always good vibes. It's just a matter of like bouncing ideas off of each other because, like we said at the beginning, I got ideas. Danny's got ideas. You got ideas, and at some point, we're all going to find what works for us, and then hopefully we'll
exactly. Color works for me, not so much with you. Sound works with you, not so much for me.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think that's all of the questions in the form. I'm just going to check the other form because I still have 2 forms going. Like this is something I need to like TubeBuddy. I need to get like the legend pack just so I can bulk change the link because I've got the same link in like 40 videos for the old question form, and I'm like, I need to like bulk change all of that.
That's what TubeBuddy's for. It's got some great little things to it.
Right, so yes, so I've got no more questions in the form. Got no more questions in the chat. Cameron, I know you've literally just joined, but we've been live for almost 2.5 hours now. Cameron's probably just like woke up. It's like, yes, I've got the last bit of the stream, and we're like, you could probably see, but like I'm sweating. It's so hot outside, and if I put a fan on, you can't hear anything I'm saying. You just be.
I had a very British morning today regarding my my weather. I was running this morning. It was like rainy and dark, cold.
Stereotypical.
Bro, we talked about this before. You agreed to the stereotype. That's not how that works. You can't agree to the stereotype then claim it's a stereotype. That's literally it.
True. But like, I don't know what it is, but like in the summer, our summer can start at so many different like random times. Yeah. You're like, what's going on? It should be sunny by now, and then. What's going on? It should be rainy by now. And it's like everyone's sweating. It's like so silly. Like this is not Notion related at all. But one of the members of my family has recently moved to Spain. And she was like, oh, it's 40 something degrees. And I'm like, yeah, but our heat is completely different to your heat.
Yeah.
It's so humid.
I hate humidity.
Sweating. So I guess sort of to round anything off, have you got anything you wanna say about Notion, about productivity, or about you yourself, what you're doing? I know you've recently hit, like, not recently, but you've got 1,000 subs. Moving on up in the YouTube world.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? We both kind of are on that right trajectory at this point. I just say self-development, productivity wise, Danny's doing really great things regarding apps, and I think apps are really important. Notion's really important. I would just say, try to find, or try to sometimes take a moment to be like, why am I doing this? Like, why? Because when you think why more, you do better sometimes. And I don't know, that was like
I'm too close. Why?
Yeah, why? That was like fortune cookie wisdom, I know, but honestly, like I think this channel, or Danny's channel, I guess to be more specific, is going to keep blowing up. I'm happy for you. I know when we both started talking, we were like right under 1,000 subs, and now we're well over it. And it's just like every single video we make, it's more experience in the bank, during this crazy time we got going on. I hope you guys are staying healthy, and we're trying to do our best to bring you good content because we know that it's not great. So we're like, hey, if we can show people cool stuff, maybe they'll forget that the world's kind of like meh right now. No, that was morbid humor. But like, it's been really cool to be on the stream. If you guys want to see more productivity content, more self-development stuff overall, I make relatively decent videos is the way I'll describe it. I make relatively decent videos regarding... Huh?
I have no idea what happened then.
Yeah, you just... Oh. Did the stream cut out? Because I feel like you went like... Your face was like this for 40 seconds.
Yeah, I think my internet was just like, what are you doing? What's going on?
I will... How's this? I'll
yeah, it's showing we're still live. I think my internet just had a bit of a faff.
Hiccup, yeah. But yeah, I'd say if you want to go check out cool self-development stuff-ish, because I'm not going to ever say I'm good because then it'd be conceited. No, I make relatively decent productivity and self-development videos on my channel. I make 3 videos a week. One is a podcast, one's a vlog, one's a real like thought-out, well-planned whole shebang with B-roll and whatnot. I'm a wannabe Matt Diavella, but I'm okay with it. And
got to get those biceps.
Hey man, he didn't have my abs. That's all I'm saying. Or my quads. I run too much to have those biceps. It's not possible. It's not. I don't think I can get the
top heavy triangle.
That would not work. But yeah, I make 3 videos a week. I really like Danny's stuff. I think you guys following him was a good choice because one day he'll have this big channel, and hopefully I'll have something relatively big, and then we can make it. We can be like,
you'll be the next like Matt Diavella,
and you'll be the next. I don't know. Wait, Thomas is no. He doesn't make only.
There's no one that really does Notion videos.
There's no Notion. Well, maybe one day you'll mildly branch out. Maybe.
I mean, I don't plan on doing just Notion because obviously there's loads of apps out there. But at the moment, like everyone keeps asking, how do you do this? How do you do that? I'm like, I'll just stick with Notion.
You'll be like, what the heck is that guy's? I know he's Keep Productive, but what is
Francesco DLS?
Francesco DLS. There we go. You'll be like Oh, you're British too. I forgot that he is as well.
Yep.
Francesco. Yeah. And then you can feature me like he did with Matt, and then it'd be like full circle in a couple of years when we both have relatively large
maybe. Yeah, because I've actually got a collab going on. Well, kind of collab. I've done a video for Francesco's channel at Keep Productive. When that goes out, I don't know. That's in his hands. Like I've done the video. I sent it to him. So it's all in his hands now. Timestamps, yes, Cameron, I will get those done after stream. I will meticulously rewatch myself talking babble and timestamp.
I hate doing that with the podcast because I'm so annoying all the time.
Like that is something you'll have to learn if you ever do either like podcast, YouTube. Like when you're editing, you have to get used to listening to your voice.
No bueno.
Yeah.
I talk about it in my 1,000 subs video, but like lucky me this time around, I made so many videos that I just don't care when I'm editing. But like the first time around, guys, it's no fun. And when people are around, it's even worse. You're like, why are you watching me? I want 1 million views, but also at the same time, if I'm there, I don't want to see you watching me. It's really weird.
It's like it's an odd feeling. So for me, having like 1,000 subs, when I saw that, I was like, there's more people subscribed to my YouTube channel than in my primary school. And then I think I hit like 1,500 or something, like whenever. And I was like, this is more people than my primary school and secondary school put together. I was like, wow, okay, head scratching. And I'm like, that many people, if I was to put myself in front of an audience and say, I think I don't even know how many subs I got, 1,700 something.
Mhm.
If I was to put myself in front of that many people and talk, I'd be like, I'll be shaking.
I would be, you know what? I can't say that I have been in front of that many. I was a choir boy with large crowds at some time. So I actually have experienced that. It's not fun. Doing it in person, it's not fun.
I don't know how I'd do it with Notion to be like, right, this is the screen. It'd have to be like a lecture, wouldn't it?
A really, really weird lecture.
Mm. Yeah. It's funny. My university has actually approached me about talking about Notion because obviously students, note-taking, clipping, like Evernote was something that my university used.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And so I got contacted by someone from my university, like halfway through the whole lockdown stuff. And they're like, how are you doing? I'm like, yeah, pretty good. Oh, okay, that's different. Because my students have been like, I'm really bad. I'd need money and all the stuff. And she was like, she said to me, oh, okay, so what have you been doing? I explained about, and my content is only getting better. Appreciate that, Cameron. Thank you. I do try. To be fair, though, the next like 12 videos I've already done. I've made, like, I'm not changing, and I'm like head first in my dissertation right now. Like I spent 3 hours transcribing and going through one meeting today. Yeah. I have another 7 to go. That's 21 hours at least, and that's just like the first run through of research. Yeah, scary thoughts. But yeah, so the woman was like, the woman from the university said to me, oh, so what have you been doing? I explained Notion. She watched a couple of my videos. She was like, you should really explain this to some of our students because our students are so unorganized. I'm like, I know. I'm still one of those. Like, I'm still one of those students you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the thing. I remember when one of my counselors saw my computer when they were walking by when I was at school. They saw the Notion, like they literally saw the task calendar versus the block schedule, and they looked at me and they went, what is that? Please tell me about this. I need to help kids with this. And I'm like, oh, the can of worms. It's kind of be open. That can of worms is going to be open. And once people at school, I mean, I have told like people about it, but like once somebody in the higher ups figures it out that, you know, I'm doing it and like I could help with people. Oh man. Oh, I don't want to be in that situation where somebody at the school reaches out to me and I tell them, and then I'm like, yeah.
Well, you know what you could do?
What?
Go look at Danny's channel.
Go what?
Go look at my channel.
Yeah, you just be like, hey, just check this out. Give me a shout out in the school newsletter or something.
What me giving you a shout out in the school letter?
No, not you. Like I'll tell them, like, give me a shout out in the school newsletter, and then maybe I'll tell you. Just be like really mean about it. No, I won't do that.
Oh dear. I assume your Notion space will develop over time, so maybe we could do like a month or 2 months later, like what it looks like now.
Yeah, that'd be good. I do got to do something with you again. I got my second round of the podcast coming up. I'm like, I don't have an official season 2, but I'm like doing a one by myself and then post that. We'll try to be a little bit different. I'm going to try to do things like your thumbnails, how it has a picture of the 2 people and then I edit it. Because I saw that and I was like, that's a good idea. And I saw Ali Abdel doing that with his live streams. And I'm like, that's a good idea. And you know,
to be honest, I was using the same thumbnail for all my live streams. So I was like, people are probably going, oh, I've seen that, when actually they haven't. So I was like, I need to do something different.
That's fair. So yeah, I hopefully maybe I can have you on the podcast again. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'd be happy to chat, happy to talk. And anyone that's in the chat, by the way, for those of you that don't know, I know Roxanne was on last week. If you do want to share anything, show anything, like either your Notion space, something you've done, if you want to come on stream and literally just have a chit chat, just send me a message over either like Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Just send me a message, and then we can get you on stream, because this is not like it is kind of formal, but it's not formal. I'd much rather have like a chit chat following like what people are doing, see what people are using Notion for or not using Notion for, and why they're not, because it works both ways. But yeah, so I think that's everything. Have you got anything else you want to say?
No, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. We did the full round circle. I had you on, you had me on, and I'm glad that we did that, because this is the first back and forth I've ever had with a YouTuber. Like usually it's just me being podcast guy.
Oh, they haven't invited you back.
I feel like maybe I have been invited in some sense. I just haven't made it happen yet. In some regards.
How did you find the link as well? Because obviously you spoke about Zoom. I realize we're still on stream, by the way, guys.
Instagram, yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you that are either just joined or like have only just joined towards the end, I will be doing timestamps when the stream finishes. Wait for like a couple of hours while I actually make the timestamps. But off to make coffee, gentlemen. We'll go check out your channel. Nice, cool. I think there's a link in the description, Cameron. But yeah, so if you've just joined or anything like that, timestamps will be in the description after the video. After the live stream, just give me like a couple of hours to actually make them. And yeah, if you want to like ask any questions for next stream, carry on putting the questions in the form or contact me anywhere else. But until then, I'll see you guys next week, same time, 7 p.m. BST start time. See ya.
Yep.